Chapter 420. Ning Fan couldn't hide the shock in his heart. It was all because this finger bone was too precious. The first step of cultivation was the 7 realms. Even a void fragmentation old monster was only at the 7th realm of the first step and had yet to become an immortal. After becoming an immortal and entering the 2nd step of cultivation, there were 3 realms. With Ning Fan's current knowledge, he only knew that the first realm of the 2nd step was the life immortal realm. It was divided into the human profound realm and the ghost profound realm. The 2nd realm of the 2nd step was the perfected immortal realm. The perfected immortal realm was further divided into 3 realms. The first realm was the transcendence realm, the 2nd realm was the renunciation realm, and the name of the 3rd realm was still unknown. Above perfected immortal, there was still the 3rd realm of the 2nd step. Only immortals who were at the peak of the 2nd step and were invincible in the 4 heavens were worthy of being called immortal emperors. This bone was not the void fragmentation realm finger bone of bone sovereign, but the bone of the strongest immortal in the 4 heavens. If this finger bone were to spread to the reign immortal world, it would probably cause countless void fragmentation realm old monsters to go on a killing spree. Moreover, there would be countless immortals who would risk violating the law of heaven to descend to the lower world in order to obtain this finger bone. It would be fine if he had never seen this bone before. Since he had seen this bone today, he was naturally determined to obtain it. If he refined this bone into his body, Ning Fan's eyes turned serious and asked indifferently. How much is this bone? He believed that since Lei Shi had taken out this bone, then Lei Shi had the intention to sell it to him. Otherwise, there was no need for Lei Shi to do this. However, from Ning Fan's point of view, this Lei Shi was an unscrupulous merchant after all. It was impossible for him to sell the immortal emperor's finger bone to him at a low price. It was perfectly normal for profiteers to hoard goods and raise prices. If Lei Shi asks for a price that is too high, Ning Fan will have no choice but to rob him. He was not a person who would do business according to the rules. Young friend, your eyes are a little scary. This old man doesn't even dare to bid anymore. Lei Shi closed the jade box and gave Ning Fan a meaningful look. He was not a fool. It was just that he did not know Ning Fan's identity as a living being. That was why he allowed Ning Fan to take advantage of him without realizing it. Now that he knew Ning Fan's identity as a living being, he naturally understood that Ning Fan was the one who really benefited from the deal they made earlier. With his intelligence, he could naturally see Ning Fan's determination to get the phalanx. If he couldn't buy it forcefully, then he would rob it forcefully. That was nothing. In any case, the immortal emperor finger bone was already a hot potato for Lei Shi. Ning Fan was a living person. It was impossible for him to be greedy and care about the lightning jades. Therefore, Lei Shi understood that no matter how high the price he offered to Ning Fan was, as long as he paid with lightning jades and Ning Fan could obtain them, Ning Fan would not reject it. This old man wants the thunder jades. All the thunder jades you had before you left the Black Lightning Tower. If you agree, I can give you the finger bone right now. Deal. To undead spirits, the lightning jade could increase their magic power. However, it was completely useless to him. Even if he does not give it to Lei Shi, it would just be trash that would occupy his bag. Lei Shi's asking price was not excessive. Moreover, this merchant was a little shrewd. What he wanted was all the lightning jades Ning Fan had before he left the Black Lightning Tower. He predicted that there would be a great battle between Ning Fan and King Yinglong. In this grand formation, countless undead spirits would fall. Ning Fan would obtain a huge amount of lightning jades which would eventually belong to Lei Shi. Although the immortal emperor's finger bone was precious, it wouldn't fetch a high price even if it was sold to other dead spirits. Void inquiry stage experts who are at the same level as Lei Shi would not have too much money. If a void pierce stage old monster knew that Lei Shi had this item, he would immediately snatch it from him. Why would he still need to buy it? This treasure belongs to you now. Lei Shi laughed heartily and passed the jade box to Ning Fan without hesitation. His eyes flashed with a hint of surprise and relief. This subtle expression could not escape Ning Fan's eyes. Ning Fan received the jade box and felt surprised. This Lei Shi really trusted him. He dared to hand over the jade box before he paid for it. When he looked at Lei Shi's expression again, Ning Fan seemed to have understood something. The surprise in Lei Shi's eyes was naturally because the finger bone was sold at a sky-high price. That trace of relief, what was that relief? It was as if a huge rock had been lifted from his heart. Ning Fan pondered inwardly. Could it be that this immortal emperor's finger bone is still a hot potato to Lei Shi? That's most likely the case. When he thought about it carefully, this Lei Shi seemed to be a little impatient to sell the finger bone to him. Congratulations, Pavilion Lord Lei. You've avoided a disaster. Ning Fan kept the jade box. There was a hidden meaning in his words which startled Lei Shi. He knew that Ning Fan had already seen through his little trick. Inwardly, he was amazed by Ning Fan's eyesight and he no longer concealed it. Lying in front of an intelligent person would only produce the opposite of the desired result. That's right. Just like what you've guessed, this finger bone is indeed a little hot. That King Yinglong wanted it but he was reluctant to pay for it. Hee. That's why I decided to sell it to you. After all, you're never stingy. Oh. In that case, if I get rid of King Yinglong, I'll be doing you a great favor. According to the rules of the Myriad Treasure Pavilion, how are you going to repay me for helping you? Ning Fan said with a faint smile. Hee. How about I give all 14 inheritance crystals to you? It's not enough, right? 14 crystals are only worth 700 silver jades. Now, I'm only lacking manpower. I don't lack silver jades. Ning Fan advised. Hee. What conditions do you have? Just tell me. As long as the conditions are reasonable and it doesn't harm the foundation of my Myriad Treasure Pavilion, it's not impossible for me to help you with some meager strength. However, if you want my Myriad Treasure Pavilion to fight against King Yinglong, you'd better find someone better. I can't gamble with the lives of my brothers. Lei Shi's eyes turned solemn. He had already guessed what Ning Fan's conditions were. Asking him to be a hired thug. Asking the Myriad Treasure Pavilion to be his hired thug to fight against King Yinglong, it was not that he was unwilling to fight against King Yinglong. In fact, he disliked the latter from the beginning. Speaking of which, how many Void Inquiry stage-old monsters in the first 24 floors would like to be ruled by King Yinglong? The Lightning Lord of the 11th floor, Zhu Feng, was King Yinglong's subordinate. This was also the reason why Lei Shi and Zhu Feng did not get along. To be honest, if Ning Fan could kill Zhu Feng and King Yinglong, Lei Shi would be very willing to do so. Besides, he believed that other than a few of King Yinglong's lackeys, most of the Void Inquiry stage-old monsters in the first 24 floors would not help King Yinglong to fight against Ning Fan. However, Lei Shi did not think that Ning Fan had the strength to kill King Yinglong. Therefore, even if he helps Ning Fan, it was impossible for him to help King Yinglong to the extent of making him hate him. What Lei Shi said had already revealed his bottom line. Meager strength, huh? Fine. I'll accept these inheritance crystals. However, I wonder how much help Pavilion Master Lei can provide with your meager strength? Ning Fan knew that Lei Shi did not dare to go against King Yinglong. Thus, he did not force him. Golden purple mist floated on his palm and he directly reached into the formation light. Ignoring how powerful the formation light was, he took out 14 crystals and kept them one by one. After that, he divided all the lightning jades he had into a storage pouch and passed it to Lei Shi. Seeing Ning Fan's method of breaking the formation with the mist, the corner of Lei Shi's eyes shrunk. The power involved in that golden purple mist was too terrifying. He could not see through it at all. After receiving the storage pouch and weighing it in his hand, Lei Shi's eyes flashed with a complicated look. Perhaps Ning Fan could really kill King Yinglong. Perhaps, by helping Ning Fan today, he would form a good relationship with him in the future. However, there were too many brothers' lives behind Lei Shi. He could not risk it. I'm sorry. I can only help you kill Zhu Feng and ascend to the 11th floor at most. Even if King Yinglong asks about this matter, I can also explain it to him privately. Is that so? That's good too. 3 days. 3 days later, I will return to the Myriad Treasure Pavilion. At that time, I will kill my way to the 11th floor. I hope Pavilion Master will help me more when the time comes. After all, the more lightning jades I kill, the more lightning jades I will obtain. When I leave, these lightning jades will still fall into fellow Daoists' hands. As soon as Ning Fan finished speaking, he put on his cloak and vanished from Lei Shi's sight. Seeing Ning Fan disappear into thin air, Lei Shi's eyes widened in surprise. In the past, he heard that Ning Fan had escaped from the pursuit of 10 Void Glimpse stage experts, but he did not know how. Today, he finally knew that Ning Fan's concealment method was actually so heaven-defying. With such a method, it was absolutely impossible for King Yinglong to kill Ning Fan. No. Unless it's a void fragmentation realm expert, no one would be able to see through Ning Fan's concealment. Who would be able to find him and kill him? King Yinglong cannot be offended, but this young man cannot be offended even more. It seems like if I don't put in some effort this time, this young man will certainly not let this matter rest. Even though he is smiling when he talks to me, I don't know why his smile makes me feel a little scared. This young man's baleful qi is a little too heavy. Lei Shi's feelings were a little complicated. However, when he thought that he was about to make a fortune, his mood became better. After walking out of the 4th layer of formation light, the 5 old monsters who were waiting outside the formation light were puzzled. They could not hear the conversation between Lei Shi and Ning Fan as they were separated by the formation light. However, they saw Lei Shi taking out an incomparably precious immortal emperor's finger bone and giving it to Ning Fan. They saw Ning Fan actually taking out a terrifying cloak and vanishing into thin air. Puzzled. All of these were puzzling. Without giving them a chance to ask, Lei Shi directly gave an order. Hurry up and prepare for war. 3 days later, the entire pavilion will be mobilized. There will be a great battle. Great battle? What great battle? Chu Nanfeng asked in confusion. The battle with Zhu Feng. What? Pavilion Master, are you kidding me? That Zhu Feng is extremely powerful. Pavilion Master has fought against him 11 times and you have lost 11 times. Therefore, this time, I will not be defeated again. Do you think that all the lightning jades that I have earned over the years have been used on a dog? Lei Shi choked on his words. He seemed to have scolded himself. Get lost. You are not allowed to have any more objections. If you have any more objections, I will spit dog shit on your face. He seemed to have scolded himself again, seeing that Lei Shi's expression was becoming more and more unpleasant. Chu Nanfeng and the others obediently shut their mouths and did not dare to talk back. The 5 of them were greatly indebted to Lei Shi. If it wasn't for him, the 5 of them would not have been able to live until today, let alone have the chance to enter the void refinement realm. Even if Lei Shi asked them to die, they would not say a word. However, they did not think that Lei Shi would certainly lose the battle with Zhu Feng. During the past hundreds of years, Lei Shi had worked hard to earn lightning jades and devoured them. His magic power was much stronger than before. This time, he might not necessarily lose to Zhu Feng. Pavilion Master, if you want to fight, we won't hesitate to die. The 5 of them cupped their fists at the same time. When Zhu Feng came to the Myriad Treasure Pavilion and threatened to destroy the pavilion if they do not hand over the Emperor's bone, he had already offended the 5 of them. If you want to fight, then let's fight. In reality, Ning Fan did not leave the Myriad Treasure Pavilion immediately. After he became invisible, he still stayed in the pavilion for a long time. He eavesdropped on Lei Shi's order to the 5 old monsters and also saw the entire pavilion preparing for war. Although he had met Lei Shi a few times, it was impossible for him to trust Lei Shi completely. After some observation, he gradually came to believe that Lei Shi did indeed have the heart to help him eliminate Zhu Feng. Lei Shi was someone he could befriend. Even if Lei Shi was a little wretched, he must have his own charisma to be able to make 5 of his subordinates follow him through life and death. He could rest assured about the Myriad Treasure Pavilion as he could improve his techniques in these 3 days. When he was 1 million li away from the Myriad Treasure Pavilion, Ning Fan removed his cloak and went straight into the profound Yin world. Ning Fan scanned the thatched cottage with his spirit sense. When he saw that Luo Yu was still in a deep sleep, he shook his head. He did not expect her to help him destroy the Black Lightning Tower. Sitting cross-legged in the profound Yin world, Ning Fan patted his storage pouch and took out several hundred jade boxes. With a jolt of his magic power, all of them floated in the air. Each jade box contained dozens of primordial lightning bolts. There was a total of 10,000 traces of primordial lightning here. If he devours all of them, his primordial lightning armor would rise to a terrifying level. The sword chi from his finger cut a jade box into pieces. Ning Fan opened his mouth and swallowed the primordial lightning into his abdomen, refining it into the lightning armor in his dantian. Inside his dantian, a palm-sized primordial spirit wearing a golden lightning armor was sitting cross-legged to recuperate. When it sensed the primordial lightning entering its abdomen, it immediately opened its small eyes and performed a series of hand seals with a serious expression. Refine. Traces of primordial lightning power were refined into the lightning armor. With the lightning refinement speed of the profound Yin world that was 100 times faster, the entire process did not take too long. Ning Fan crushed the jade boxes one after another. Each and every trace of primordial lightning was refined into the lightning armor. The lightning power of primordial lightning needed to break through to the second level of the first level of the lightning armor was extremely massive. Every time it absorbed a trace of primordial lightning, the golden color of the armor would become brighter. After absorbing 3,000 traces of primordial lightning, the lightning armor shone with golden light. It finally advanced to the second level of the lightning armor. After breaking through to the second level, the defense of the lightning armor had risen to a terrifying level. It could even withstand the attacks of Void Inquiry stage old monsters. With the second level of the lightning armor, Ning Fan could withstand a Void Inquiry stage attack and ignore the full-powered attack of a Void Glimpse stage expert. However, just the second level of the lightning armor was not enough to fight against King Yinglong. The lightning power needed to break through to the third level of the lightning armor from the second level became even greater. The remaining 7,000 traces of primordial lightning were all refined into the lightning armor. However, it only completed half of the advancement. At least another 6,000 traces of primordial lightning were needed for the lightning armor to advance to the third level. Ning Fan's eyes turned solemn. He still thought that the advancement of the lightning armor was too easy. Fortunately, even though the lightning armor had yet to advance to the third level, its defense had greatly increased compared to the second level. Ordinary Void Inquiry stage experts like Lei Shi would probably not be able to break through Ning Fan's defense. If it's just to kill Lightning Lord Zhu Feng of the 11th floor, the current lightning armor is more than enough. Next. Reforge the Separation Slayer sword. Ning Fan patted his storage pouch and took out a piece of 2-star divine iron. Compared to the 1-star divine iron that he obtained previously, the star power of this piece of star iron was more than a few times stronger. He took out the Separation Slayer sword and merged it with the 2-star divine iron to refine it. What Ning Fan needed to do was to refine the impurities. However, this time, he included all the impurities in the Separation Slayer sword. Under the refinement of the black flames, the body of the Separation Slayer sword began to change. Gradually, it became as thin as a cicada's wings and became slightly transparent. There were even clear starlight flowing around it. The sword light was as cold as autumn water. After this round of refinement, the grade of the Separation Slayer sword increased. It was almost at the mid-grade Mortal Void realm. The autumn water-like sword light gave Ning Fan an extremely dangerous and sharp feeling. Once he was hit by a trace of the sword light, that trace of autumn water-like sword light would split into millions and millions of sword threads, tearing everything that it touches into pieces. If the vital parts of one's primordial spirit are hit by this sword, even a void glimpse stage expert would most likely be killed by Ning Fan with a single strike. With this sword in hand, Ning Fan could totally kill a void glimpse stage expert with a single sword attack using the heaven-deceiving cloak. Only half a day had passed since the advancement of the lightning armor and the recasting of the Separation Slayer sword. Ning Fan patted his storage pouch and took out 14 pieces of inheritance crystals. His eyes were filled with curiosity. I wonder if there are any secret techniques or inheritances inside these crystals. Chapter 421. Crystals of inheritance were extremely precious. Only experts at the level of the previous reign's sovereign could obtain them. Ning Fan had no doubt that the ones who left these 14 crystals were all experts of that level. Ning Fan could not help but be curious about the things that were passed down in the crystals. His spirit sense went into the crystals one by one. Sometimes, he was surprised and sometimes, disappointed. His expression was extremely complicated. As expected, the ones who left the 14 crystals were 14 void fragmentation realm old monsters. All of them had different backgrounds. Among them, 5 of them contained information like last words or memories. They could not improve the strength of a cultivator. Ning Fan naturally kept the crystals in disappointment. Among the remaining 9 crystals, 4 of them contained cultivation methods, 2 of them contained information like the ruins of a cave dwelling or a treasure map, while the last 3 contained magic techniques. Ning Fan did not need void fragmentation realm cultivation methods. The treasure map and the ruins of a cave dwelling were left behind in an unknown year. Moreover, the place where they were hidden did not seem to be the Rain world. The items inside were merely void fragmentation realm storage. Ning Fan was not interested in them and would not search for them. Among the 3 magic techniques, 2 of them were useless. However, there was an incomplete body technique that he could use a little. This incomplete body technique was called 4 Symbols of Self. It seemed to be a secret technique of the Buddha sect. The 4 symbols of self were divided into self symbol, human symbol, all living beings symbol and longevity symbol. In the Buddha sect, those who were obsessed with the 4 symbols could not attain Buddhahood. However, there were cultivators with great abilities who fused the 4 symbols of the Buddha sect with their obsession to attain Buddhahood. East, West, South, North and South. The void of the 4 dimensions is boundless. Everything that has a symbol is an illusion. If you see the symbol but not the symbol, you will see Tathagata. If you cultivate the 4 symbols of self and enter the Nirvana realm, immortals and Buddhas will not be able to destroy you. You will be immeasurable and your immortal body will never be destroyed. Ning Fan frowned slightly. It seems like the 4 symbols of self has a great origin. However, the void fragmentation realm expert who left this crystal only knew 1 symbol. It was already not easy to obtain the inheritance of 1 symbol. The self symbol was the weakest symbol. However, if one cultivates this symbol, it would not be weaker than ordinary low-grade mortal void body techniques. To Ning Fan, who only knew the ice-shattering body technique, the self-symbol technique was undoubtedly a great gain. He did not care about the incomplete secret technique. After keeping the crystals one by one, Ning Fan spent half a day to master the technique of the self-symbol technique. 3 days, 2 days left. There was only one thing left for Ning Fan to do in the last 2 days. His eyes became serious as he slapped his bag of holding and took out a jade box. For the first time, hesitation appeared on his face. To swallow or not to swallow? This finger bone belonged to an immortal emperor. The power it contained could only be described as terrifying. Ning Fan did not know what would happen after he swallowed the finger and refined it. However, this was a great opportunity. He closed his eyes and made a decision in his heart. Just as he was considering whether or not to devour the bone, the demonic runes on his back suddenly became hot. The demonic patterns faintly emitted the emotions of resistance and fear. Within the pattern, the tightly shut demonic eye seemed to have the urge to open its eyelids. Boom! All of a sudden, a wave of devil chi rushed into Ning Fan's body. The devil chi was as vast as the ocean. It completely drowned Ning Fan's mind like a small boat. As the evil chi filled his body, he almost lost control of his body. In the world of his mind, the figure of a black-robed demon slowly condensed. In order for that demon to completely condense, it still needed a long time. However, today, the demon had a premonition that there would be a great danger. He could not wait any longer. He forcefully condensed the devil chi in Ning Fan's body and slowly formed a second primordial spirit in Ning Fan's dantian. However, this second primordial spirit was indeed black in color with monstrous devil chi. Its appearance was exactly the same as Ning Fan's, but its personality was completely different. That demon was trying to take over Ning Fan's body and devour his first primordial spirit. Ning Fan's expression changed greatly. He had never cultivated any second primordial spirit technique before. He was extremely sure that this black primordial spirit was forcefully condensed after he took out the jade box. Before that, it definitely did not exist. Could this black primordial spirit be the great hidden danger of Mo Luo's inheritance? Who are you? Why did you hide in my body? Ning Fan's eyes turned cold. Who am I? I am you. No. To be more precise, I am your devil heart. Every time you kill someone, you will accumulate a trace of devil chi which will flow into your devil marks. That devil chi is extracting the power of your primordial spirit bit by bit. As for me, I am the accumulation of that primordial spirit power. Today is the first day of my birth. And I am you, Ning Fan. However, I am different from you. From the moment I am born, all the killings I have killed are not for anyone. Not for my master, not for Jihe. I will only sacrifice my entire life for Mo Luo's resurrection. My biggest dream is to become Mo Luo's slave. The black primordial spirit sneered. Mo Luo's slave. Ning Fan's eyes became even colder. He vaguely understood that the person who spread this devil mark was most likely that Mo Luo. That Mo Luo must be an influential figure in the ancient devil race. The reason why Mo Luo created this devil mark was to nurture thousands of slaves. Every person who cultivates this devil mark would receive a great increase in their strength in the beginning. However, they would be constantly influenced by the devil mark and gradually become bloodthirsty and brutal. Every time they kill a person, they would accumulate a trace of devil heart. When there are enough devil hearts, they would condense into a black primordial spirit and devour the main body. In a sense, this method of condensing a primordial spirit was no different from a second primordial spirit. It was indeed the second Ning Fan. However, this second Ning Fan had already recognized Mo Luo as his slave from the moment he was born. If this black primordial spirit takes control of his body, it would certainly devour Ning Fan's first primordial spirit and occupy his consciousness, turning him into Mo Luo's slave. He was still Ning Fan, but he was also no longer Ning Fan. What a vicious technique. I'm afraid that this devil mark has harmed countless people in the ancient times and turned them into its slaves. However, something isn't right. This black primordial spirit is obviously not mature yet. Today, it condensed its primordial spirit out of instinct. It seems like it just instinctively sensed danger and forcefully condensed it. He is afraid. Ning Fan's eyes fell upon the jade box in his hand and he vaguely understood something. He is afraid. He is afraid that I will obtain the strength to suppress him after devouring the immortal emperor's finger bone. Therefore, he wants to destroy my primordial spirit and occupy my body before I devour the finger bone. He wants me, a dignified man, to become his slave. Don't you dare get away with it. Ning Fan's eyes flashed with anger. He would never become anyone's slave. Never. If he hesitated before devouring the immortal emperor's finger bone, he would not hesitate at all now in order to suppress the black primordial spirit. He could not be devoured by the black primordial spirit. He wanted to devour the emperor's bone. He wanted to borrow the might of an immortal emperor to slay the black primordial spirit and devour it. Refine. While he still had the last bit of control over his body, Ning Fan shattered the jade box with his palm. He forcefully refined it without caring about the immense magic power of the Emperor's bone. All of a sudden, the black primordial spirit let out an extremely furious roar. You can't kill me. I am you. You are not me. Ning Fan's eyes flashed with ruthlessness. Even if the black primordial spirit was another Ning Fan, he was willing to sever his own self in order to not lose himself. How dare you harm me? I will fight you to the death. Devil Infusion Technique. The black primordial spirit revealed a frenzied expression. His madness was exactly the same as Ning Fan's. When one is at a dead end, he would risk his life. After his small hands formed a series of hand seals, the devil chi in Ning Fan's body increased by tens of times in an instant. At this moment, he finally lost control of his body. His physical body was dyed black by the devil chi, turning into the appearance of a 5,000 zhang tall black-armored giant in the profound Yin world. That black-armored giant had 2 horns on his head. Both of them were the appearance of mist horn. He turned into a giant and his fists could crush mountains. It was the appearance of giant devil. He had 6 black wings on his back. It was the appearance of 6 wings. There was a black vertical eye on his glabella. It was the appearance of ghost eye. Giant devil, mist horn, 6 wings, and ghost eye are all slaves of Mo Luo. Humph. You still want to go to the giant devil clan and get rid of the hidden danger of the devil marks? Dream on. I originally planned to devour you after you arrive at the giant devil clan. Today, I have no choice but to do so in advance. You must die. The devilized giant revealed a cold smile. However, at the next moment, his eyes turned extremely cold. He thought that he had successfully devoured Ning Fan. However, when he lowered his head to take a look, he found that there was a finger bone on his index finger which still contained lightning light. It could not be completely devilized. As for Ning Fan's primordial spirit, it was staying inside the finger bone. It was not devoured by the devil chi at all. However, Ning Fan's current condition was definitely not optimistic. Even though his primordial spirit was not devoured by the devil chi, it was shaken by it and made him fall into a deep sleep. Ning Fan felt as if he had fallen into a dream. In his dream, he was standing in front of a devil mountain. A monstrous aura force pressed down on his shoulders, forcing him to kneel and kowtow to the devil mountain. On the peak of the devil mountain, a black-robed middle-aged man ordered with a cold and stern look. I am Mo Luo. Become my slave and kowtow to my devil mountain. I will not die and you will not die. Don't even think about it. Ning Fan's eyes flashed with determination. He would not kneel. In the thatched cottage in the profound Yin world, Luo Yu, who was pretending to be asleep, sensed the drastic changes in the outside world. Her beautiful eyes were filled with shock and worry. One of the 9 ancestors of the ancient devil ancestors. Mo Luo. How could this be? How could this brat get himself into such a huge trouble? How could she still have the mood to pretend to be asleep? She moved with light steps and quickly left the thatched cottage. Looking at the mountain-like black-armored giant, she suddenly felt a sharp pain in her heart. Tears were already falling from her eyes. He's dead. He's dead. Only his enslaved primordial spirit is left in his dantian. His first primordial spirit is already dead. She hated herself for not realizing that Ning Fan actually had the hidden danger of Mo Luo in his body. If she knew about it, she would certainly do everything she could to help Ning Fan get rid of the danger just like she did in the past. She hated herself for being powerless and not even having the chance to save Ning Fan. Legend has it that in ancient times, the ancestor of Mo Luo had a method that could enslave immortals. Once one's body is inundated with devil chi, there would be no chance of saving him. He is really dead. He did not even know that she had already woken up. No. He is not dead yet. Luo Yu's eyes flashed. Suddenly, her tears stopped flowing and she revealed a surprised smile. She noticed that the finger bone of the devil giant had yet to be demonized. That is, the finger bone of an immortal emperor. Where did this brat get such a supreme treasure from? It actually stopped Mo Luo from enslaving him. With this finger bone, he has a high chance of defeating the enslaved primordial spirit. However, his first primordial spirit is already in a deep sleep. Could it be that it was injured by the devil Qi? I must help him. Luo Yu's eyes that were as gentle as water were filled with determination. Her robes that were as white as snow suddenly gave off an extremely vast aura force. Even if I have to harm myself, I must help him. I will treat it as repaying him for waking me up. Chapter 422. In the dream in his mind, Ning Fan's body felt like it was being suppressed by 1,000 mountains. His white robes were drenched in blood. However, even though all his bones were broken, he still refused to kneel down. His gaze was cold as he stared angrily at the black-clothed middle-aged man at the peak of the demonic mountain. The entire world was drowned in black snowflakes. Standing amidst the black snow, this person did not feel out of place. He was a demon, and the snow was demonic snow. Their temperaments matched, and there was a kind of natural Tao rhythm within. The black-robed middle-aged man's gaze was like a halberd, his expression grave and stern. His hair was messy, and he had 2 horns on his head, 6 wings on his back, and a vertical ghost eye on his forehead. Standing at the peak of the Devil Mountain, he looked down at Ning Fan as if he was an ant. His eyes were expressionless and there was only disdain that came from his soul. Kowtow before the devil, become my slave, melt your immortal foundation, condense your ancient devil body. Why don't you kneel? What will happen if I kneel? Ning Fan sneered. The black-robed middle-aged man was silent for a moment. There were only 2 possible answers to his question. One was to become a slave, and the other was to refuse. Ning Fan was the first person who dared to ask a rhetorical question. If you kneel, then you'll be bestowed with the body of Devil Luo. You'll be able to slaughter your loved ones, and you'll be able to prove the path of the devil, become a supreme true devil, and help me awaken. The day I awaken, I will grant you immortality. So, I won't kneel. Ning Fan sneered even more coldly. He would not kneel because he had already seen through the origin of that black primordial spirit from the very beginning. That black primordial spirit was none other than Ning Fan himself. It was the amalgamation of all his negative emotions. How much he loved Jihe, how much he cared for his beauties and loved ones, how cold-blooded and resentful the black primordial spirit was. He could not be devoured by the black primordial spirit. Otherwise, after the black primordial spirit took over his body, the first thing it would do would be to kill to prove its fiendish Tao. He didn't kneel not only because he was stubborn, not only because he didn't want to be a slave, but also because he couldn't do it. He had once fallen into the demonic path for the sake of strength, but if the end of the demonic path was to harm his loved ones, then the demonic path could be abandoned. Interesting. But whether you kneel or not, it's never up to you. Humph. The black-robed middle-aged man snorted coldly. He took a step forward, and his body shattered into countless black snowflakes. The next moment, the entire world began to tremble violently as a shocking demonic aura appeared, as if it was about to shatter the sky. In the face of the devil might, the black snow swirled in the opposite direction and went into Ning Fan's body. Beneath Ning Fan's feet, a gigantic square-shaped formation diagram emerged out of nowhere. The black lines on it were mysterious and strange. An irresistible devil qi poured into Ning Fan's body. In an instant, Ning Fan's eyes changed. Possession. Impossible. He could not imagine that the black-robed middle-aged man had actually transcended time and space, transcended life and death, and used a trace of Mo Luo's slave imprint in Ning Fan's body with his peerless ability to seize Ning Fan's body. According to the black-robed man's original plan, he should be preparing to enslave Ning Fan. With his identity, it was impossible for him to take a liking to a mere divine transformation realm cultivator. However, after witnessing Ning Fan's stubbornness, he suddenly changed his plan and prepared to seize Ning Fan's body. Not bad, my plan has changed. Your personality suits my taste. A body that hasn't knelt before is the most qualified to be possessed by me. Within Ning Fan's body, another consciousness began to grow rapidly. This consciousness belonged to one of the 9 great devil ancestors, Great Emperor Mo Luo. The original plan was to enslave Ning Fan and force him to prepare the physical body of a true immortal realm expert for Mo Luo to descend and seize his body for resurrection. Today, however, Mo Luo wanted to directly seize Ning Fan's body. If the black primordial spirit tries to devour Ning Fan, he could still resist a little. Now that his body was being seized by an immortal emperor realm expert, how could he resist even a little? Ning Fan's white robes that were stained with blood gradually turned into a black robe. His consciousness gradually became blurry. He seemed to see the beautiful figures of the women in the past walking further and further away from him as if they were strangers. He seemed to be able to imagine what kind of insane things he would do once Great Emperor Mo Luo transcends time and space to seize his body. He would slaughter all of his loved ones. Don't even think. Ning Fan's eyes were filled with madness. If he could not choose to live, he could still choose death. He could abandon his Tao, he could sacrifice his life, and he could even lose his Tao and name. But no matter what, he would not allow those women to be harmed by others. Primordial spirit, ignite. Demon blood, ignite. Sea of consciousness, ignite. He ignited everything. He wanted to stop Mo Luo from seizing his body and stop the black primordial spirit from occupying his body. He wanted to destroy all of Mo Luo's plans with his death. Moreover, if he was lucky, he could commit suicide when Mo Luo was halfway through seizing Ning Fan's body. By doing so, he would certainly suffer severe injuries and pay the price. Humph. I didn't expect that he would rather die than help me resurrect. How ruthless. After being frightened by Ning Fan, Mo Luo had no choice but to give up his plan of seizing Ning Fan's body. He turned into black snow and entered Ning Fan's body. Since he could not seize Ning Fan's body, he could only play it safe and let his black primordial spirit slowly devour Ning Fan. As long as Ning Fan kneels down and kowtows to the devil for the last time, everything would be done. Devil of heaven and earth, listen to my ancestors' command. Kneel. Great Emperor Mo Luo shouted coldly and uttered a devil voice from his mouth. All of a sudden, an unimaginable aura force descended on Ning Fan's body, shaking his mind. Ning Fan's expression became blank as if he was in a daze. His body could not help but want to kowtow to the Devil Mountain. Under this devil voice, he had to submit. Not only him, but even heaven and earth also had to submit to him. This was the law of words. Even though Ning Fan's heart was against it, he could not control his body. At this moment, however, a wave of magic power that was as cool as Luo River suddenly poured into Ning Fan's body. This coolness gradually swept away the trace of confusion in Ning Fan's eyes, preventing him from kneeling at the critical moment. Great Emperor Mo Luo was slightly stunned. Then, his eyes turned cold and said, "The forbidden curse of the Luo clan, heart-cleansing kindness incantation. Humph. How dare you obstruct my plans? You're courting death." Just as he was about to make a move to disperse the curse on Ning Fan's body and cause the caster to suffer a backlash, the situation suddenly changed at the next moment. This time, even he could not help but reveal a shocked expression. Impossible. Why is there an immortal emperor in this place? At this moment of imminent peril, the entire world suddenly split into two. Half of the world was still covered in black snow while the other half of the world had turned into a world of blood and lightning with rumbling thunder and flashing lightning. An old Taoist in red robes arrived while stepping on a red cloud. His tone was filled with sarcasm. A dignified great emperor of the devil race is bullying a junior at the first step realm. Don't you feel ashamed? Who are you? I'm the immortal emperor of the future generations, Tai Su. Today, I have the chance to fight Great Emperor Mo Luo. I really have no regrets even if I die today. Young man, back off. The old Taoist in red robes arrived in the blink of an eye. Lightning flashed in his eyes and an immortal aura force that was slightly weaker than Mo Luo's swept across the place, dispersing all the devil chi in Ning Fan's body. Ning Fan regained his mobility. His eyes were filled with astonishment. This old Taoist who appeared again called himself Tai Su. Of course, he was the owner of the Lightning Star and Emperor Bone. Since this person had appeared, he was obviously here to protect Ning Fan. Just by standing beside Mo Luo and Tai Su, Ning Fan already felt like his body was going to collapse. He could not resist the terrifying immortal aura force at all. Immortals were people who stood on mountains. As for these two immortal emperors of different eras, both of them had once stood at the peak of immortals. Back off. Ning Fan could only retreat. There was no place for him to attack at all in this place. He hurriedly retreated to 100,000 li away and observed from afar. Mo Luo and Tai Su stood opposite each other. The place where each of them stood was a world that belonged to them. Mo Luo ordered snow to fall on heaven and earth while Tai Su made heaven and earth be filled with blood and lightning. With Ning Fan's insight, he could vaguely tell that the two immortal emperors had usurped the heavenly Tao using their emperor's aura force, causing the heavenly Tao that they were in to change. It turns out that when one's cultivation base reaches the immortal emperor realm, they can even seize the heavenly Tao. Ning Fan exclaimed. He knew that a battle between two emperors that was unknown to the world was about to break out in his mind. It would be a grand occasion that was rarely seen since ancient times, and Ning Fan was the only one who could witness it. If ordinary cultivators could witness the dignity of immortal emperors, they would probably die without regrets. Ning Fan, on the other hand, was fortunate enough to witness two immortal emperors fighting to their death. Mo Luo and Tai Su were wearing black robes and red robes respectively. The world was broken into two halves. The heavenly Tao forces of the two worlds were fighting against each other. The black snow and the blood-red lightning collided with each other and vanished into thin air. After the time it takes for an incense stick to burn, the two worlds began to collapse. The red heavenly Tao force dispersed. Even though the black force did not dissipate, it was also severely damaged. The aftermath of the collision was enough to shatter the rain world. Tai Su took 10 steps back continuously before he could stabilize himself. Each step he took would crush mountains and rivers. His eyes faintly revealed a hint of astonishment, and he said with a solemn tone, "You're indeed worthy of being the 9 ancestors of the ancient devils. I'm actually so much weaker than you." "Humph. You're not bad either. You're just an immortal emperor of the later generations, but you can actually make me take half a step back. This half a step is enough to make you invincible among those at the same level as you in that era." Mo Luo also took half a step back. From his pale face, one could tell that this half a step was a great humiliation to him. In ancient times, among the 9 ancestors of the devil race, Mo Luo was one of the strongest 9 emperors of the devil race. Those who could make him take half a step back were all outstanding geniuses without exception. As an immortal emperor of the later generations, Tai Su was able to make Mo Luo take a step back. Just like what Mo Luo had guessed, he was also one of the few overlords in the world in his era. Tai Su came to protect Ning Fan. Thus, he would certainly not hurt him. As for Mo Luo, he had his own pride. He would certainly not sneak an attack on Ning Fan. He allowed Ning Fan to watch the battle between the two emperors and even deliberately restrained the energy fluctuations from their battle, not letting them kill Ning Fan. Compared to enslaving a junior, Mo Luo was more interested in Tai Su right now. "You fight me." Mo Luo took a step forward. His eyes were filled with frenzied killing intent, but he gradually calmed down. From existence to nothingness was not a loss but a sublimation. His eyes were pitch black. At this moment, wherever Mo Luo's gaze reached, heaven and earth would be dyed black. Patches of blood-red lightning began to crumble. Ning Fan's expression changed greatly when Mo Luo caught a glimpse of him from the corner of his eyes. At this moment, he felt as if the depths of his soul was about to be dyed black and devoured by Mo Luo's gaze. That was not death. It was fusing into Mo Luo's Tao and becoming a part of him. That was destruction. It was a death that was scarier than death. Everything would turn into nothingness and all Tao sense would vanish into thin air. Use the lightning diagram to protect your body. Tai Su's voice resounded. A trace of lightning power entered Ning Fan's body. All of a sudden, a massive blood-red lightning diagram appeared under Ning Fan's feet on its own without Ning Fan activating it. Moreover, the might of this lightning diagram was more than 100 times stronger than when Ning Fan personally displayed it. Not only could it devour lightning power of the same level, but it could also devour Tao sense and devour everything. A trace of magic power from an immortal emperor could actually make the lightning diagram display 100 times more power. If Tai Su were to display this lightning diagram personally, how powerful would it be? Ning Fan's heart was filled with gratitude. If it wasn't because of Tai Su's help, he would certainly have perished under Mo Luo's gaze. It turned out that he was really very weak. It turned out that the current Ning Fan could not even withstand a single gaze from an immortal emperor. Other than the trace of lightning power that Tai Su channeled into his body, Ning Fan also sensed a trace of cool magic power that was as gentle as water. This gentleness gave him a sense of déjà vu, but he had indeed never seen it before. Other than Tai Su, who else is helping me? Ning Fan frowned. At the next moment, all his thoughts were awakened by an earth-shattering aura force. Mo Luo raised his 5 fingers to the sky and made a grabbing motion. All of the great momentum of the heavenly Tao condensed into pieces of black snowflakes which shone with strange starlight. Then, they condensed into a black bow made of ice and snow. On the surface of that black bow, there were millions of strange runes of the devil race. With Ning Fan's eyesight, he could tell at a glance that those runes were some kind of special formation marks which seemed to be able to increase the might of his bow technique. With his Tao of formations, he could see through the veins of those runes and engrave them in his heart. He recognized that this bow technique was the technique that old ancestor Six-Winged was famous for, the star-punishing bow. As for Mo Luo, he did not use his star power. Instead, he borrowed the great momentum of the heavenly Tao to change the ice and snow into stars which then evolved into the star-punishing bow. Ning Fan could not understand the profound principle behind this. However, he understood that the star-punishing bow that Mo Luo displayed was millions of times more profound than the bow that he used. Before Mo Luo pulled the bowstring, heaven and earth were already trembling in fear. The power of this bow was enough to pierce through the rain world. This was the true meaning of the world being destroyed when the bow is pulled. To Ning Fan, witnessing Mo Luo displaying this bow technique was definitely a rare opportunity. Star-punishing bow. Tai Su obviously recognized this technique. His eyes were filled with astonishment. This bow technique was created by my slave, Lu Yi. In the end, he became my Tao corpse and offered his body to me. Therefore, this bow technique is naturally for me to use. Take this bow. The corner of Mo Luo's mouth curved into a cold and cruel smile. He spread his arms and pulled the bowstring. His vast and terrifying magic power turned into a black starlight arrow made of ice and snow. The mountains and rivers collapsed and trembled. The ground sank and the hollow space collapsed. Die! Mo Luo sneered and shot the arrow. Wherever the arrow touched, heaven and earth would collapse and be annihilated, turning back into primal chaos. Tai Su's expression changed greatly. From this arrow, he sensed a trace of life or death might. He clenched his 5 fingers and a ray of lightning light that was as dazzling as a rainbow instantly condensed into a rainbow-colored lightning armor. The grade of this lightning armor was countless times higher than Ning Fan's. It was not even recorded in Hong Yi's secret technique. With the might of this lightning armor, Tai Su had once withstood the attacks of a few immortal emperors at the same level as him without breaking his lightning armor. However, when the arrow light hit the lightning armor, the world where Tai Su was at instantly collapsed. The lightning armor that was strong enough to defend against the joint attacks of a few immortal emperors collapsed in an instant. Puff, Tai Su spurted out a mouthful of blood. His eyes were filled with astonishment. Even with his strength that was almost invincible among his peers, he actually had no power to resist Mo Luo. The arrow broke his armor. That arrow even wanted to destroy Tai Su's Dao. At the critical moment, Tai Su suddenly stepped on the void space. A 7-colored lightning diagram appeared under his feet. His physical body turned into a ray of 7-colored rainbow light and went into the lightning diagram, avoiding the fatal attack. That arrow did not kill Tai Su. Instead, it hit the millions of hollow space behind him, stirring up a terrifying storm. After a long time, the storm disappeared. Tai Su got out of the lightning diagram. His old face was as pale as a piece of golden paper. There was a bloody hole in his chest. The arrow pierced through his heart and it could not heal. Cough cough. I've lost, you're not weak anymore. When I was at my peak, there were only 1 or 2 people among the 9 devil ancestors who could survive a single attack from me. Mo Luo frowned and said. It was really out of his expectation that Tai Su could not be killed with a single arrow. However, you're not at your peak now. Tai Su smiled shamefully. His eyes were fixed on the Devil Mountain in the distance as if he was referring to something. Don't worry. Even so, I've only used 30% of my strength. You should be proud of yourself for being able to survive an attack that uses 30% of my strength. Ning Fan's heart shuddered. He had always thought that immortal emperors were the supreme experts. Besides, from the conversation between the two of them, Ning Fan could also tell that Tai Su was definitely a top-notch immortal emperor of the same generation. However, an immortal emperor like him was almost killed by an arrow from Mo Luo who used 30% of his strength. This Mo Luo was so strong. It was too terrifying. Immortal emperors were not the strongest. Great Emperor Mo Luo, you're very strong. However, this young man is my successor after countless generations. He's the first junior who condensed my Tai Su lightning star. He can be considered as half a disciple of mine. You can't hurt him. Stubborn. This time, I won't show any mercy. Soul extraction. Mo Luo's eyes turned cold. He clawed at the void space with his 5 fingers. At the next moment, traces of soul power were extracted. He clawed at the ground and extracted the soul of the earth. He clawed at the void space and extracted the soul of the void. He clawed at the sky and extracted the soul of the sun, moon, and stars. He clawed at the sky a second time and extracted the soul of the heavenly Tao. Each time he extracted the soul, it would be more profound than the previous time. It was Ning Fan's first time witnessing a soul extraction technique other than the soul extraction of the earth. Obviously, the soul extraction technique he used was just the lowest level. After extracting all the souls of the heavens and earth, Mo Luo's aura force nearly doubled. Under such an aura force, the injured Tai Su felt even more suffocated. This is more or less equivalent to 50% of my magic power when I was at my peak. You must die. Mo Luo's voice reverberated across heaven and earth. His voice echoed endlessly like thunder. The 2 worlds merged into one and were once again under his control. Even Lightning Emperor Tai Su did not have the qualifications to seize Mo Luo's world. Chapter 423. Looking at Mo Luo, whose aura was like the sky, Tai Su sighed. He was indeed much weaker than Mo Luo. However, he had a reason to save Ning Fan. Putting aside the fact that he was already dead, even if he was still alive, he would definitely save Ning Fan from this calamity. Mo Luo stopped using the star-punishing bow art. Instead, he formed hand seals with his 10 fingers, and the vertical ghost eye between his brows immediately flashed with a strange dark light. The moment this dim light rose, the entire world fell into darkness. In the darkness of the night, many strange and enormous vertical eyes appeared in the night sky. There were billions of them in total. Every vertical eye had a nirvana demonic flame brewing within it. Just one vertical eye and the aura of the devil flame were enough to kill a soul formation cultivator. 100 streams of devil flames could kill a void refinement realm being. The 10,000 traces of devil flames could kill a void fragmentation realm expert. 1,000,000 devil flames could kill a life immortal. 100,000,000 devil flames could kill a true immortal. When the number of devil flames reached 10 billion, even an ordinary immortal emperor would be incinerated to death. Mo Luo Dao, demonized 10 billion arts. Mo Luo's icy cold voice was like the final bell that demanded one's life, and it reverberated in the heavens and the earth for a long time. The sky was filled with murderous intents. The heavenly path trembled. Mo Luo, who was at 50% of his power, could instantly kill Tai Su at his peak. Ning Fan's eyes were filled with shock. Was this great emperor Mo Luo, one of the 9 emperors of the ancient demon clan? If such a person was still alive, he would probably be able to slaughter the entire 4 heavens and 9 worlds. Even though the 4 heavens also had celestial emperors, they definitely didn't have a peak celestial emperor like Mo Luo. He couldn't resist Mo Luo's possession, so he could only force him with death. It turned out that it wasn't shameful at all. With Mo Luo's tyrannical strength, he could even seize the body of a grand essence level expert. It wouldn't be too difficult. Currently, the prerequisite for the successful possession was for Tai Su to cultivate the stone warrior devil marks like Ning Fan. Then, he had to develop it step by step until it broke through to the profound earth realm of the general rank and gradually form his devil eyes. Mo Luo did not choose his slaves because he was hungry. If one did not have the aptitude to develop the stone warrior's demonic rune to the point where the demonic eye descends, they would not even be qualified to become his slave. As for Mo Luo, he was even more picky when it came to seizing someone's body. He was willing to seize Ning Fan's body, but he might not necessarily be willing to seize the body of a true immortal. This meant that Mo Luo also admired Ning Fan a lot. Unfortunately, it was only an appreciation for an enemy or a servant. It would never be equal. An existence worthy of being on the same level as Mo Luo had long since died in the torrent of time. Brat, as you can see, this great emperor Mo Luo is too powerful. Even though this old man is unwilling to lose to him, it's not a loss even if he kills me once. You, on the other hand, are different. Your body will be seized or you will be enslaved. Are you willing? Tai Su smiled bitterly. I'm unwilling. Ning Fan closed his eyes and said indifferently. Although he was unwilling, there were too many things in this world that he could not do because he was weak. So what if he was unwilling? The only thing he could do was to prevent Mo Luo from successfully enslaving and seizing his body. He had an obsession that he would not regret even if he died 100 times. I have a secret technique that can eliminate Mo Luo. But this secret technique might require you to sacrifice something. However, it might also be an opportunity. Senior, if you have something to say, please speak clearly. This old man has a plan that can exterminate Mo Luo. But I need your help. The conversation between Tai Su and Ning Fan was carried out in public. They did not avoid Mo Luo at all. Besides, Tai Su purposely emphasized on the word exterminate, as if he was trying to infuriate Mo Luo. Mo Luo's devil eye flame originally wanted to incinerate Tai Su. However, after hearing Tai Su's arrogant words, the corner of his mouth curled into a conceited and mocking smile. He knew that Tai Su was provoking him. He also knew that Tai Su knew that he would not be able to win and he was going to play dirty tricks. However, he did not care. He did not care what tricks Tai Su played. It was because he was strong. It was because he was conceited. It was because he was Mo Luo. He would never be defeated. I can give you a chance to borrow his physical body. Mo Luo sneered. His words exposed Tai Su's intention. Mo Luo was already dead and so was Tai Su. The two of them certainly could not be at their peak. Due to some reasons, Mo Luo could only use 30% of his magic power. After extracting his soul, he could reach 50% of his power. As for Tai Su, because he was summoned by Ning Fan's finger bone, he was almost at his peak. However, this peak still had its limitations. Many secret techniques that required the help of his physical body could not be used. Ning Fan's insignificant strength could not interfere in the battle between two immortal emperors at all. The only thing he had was a physical body. If Tai Su temporarily possessed Ning Fan's body, he would be able to display some kind of secret technique. Perhaps, he could use this secret technique to fight against Imo Luo. Tai Su had the same intention. Both of them were immortal emperors. Their minds were naturally monstrous. It was normal for Imo Luo to see through some of his thoughts. Tai Su was not ashamed of it. No, it should be said that if it was the Tai Su of the past, he would disdain to borrow someone else's strength to fight against his enemies. However, the current situation was different from the past. He had a moment that only Ning Fan could do. Therefore, he could not allow Ning Fan to be enslaved and possessed. Therefore, even if he had to be despicable and ruin his illustrious reputation, he would not hesitate to do it. Senior wants to attach your primordial spirit to my body. Ning Fan opened his eyes and asked. That's right. I have one thing that I won't be able to let go even if I die. Only you can do it. You must promise me this and I will give up everything to save you. Tai Su said firmly. All right. Ning Fan nodded his head and promised. Weaklings did not have the right to negotiate. If he had the strength of an immortal emperor and could eliminate Imo Luo with a single palm, he did not need to promise Tai Su any of his requests. However, he was weak. He needed Tai Su to survive. It was not unreasonable for him to promise Tai Su one thing for saving him. Very well. If the secret technique succeeds, I will naturally tell you about it. If the secret technique fails, you will die and I will perish. What's the point of talking about it? White Lightning Dao, Sovereign Spirit Possession Technique. Tai Su performed a hand seal. His body turned into illusory lightning and disappeared into Ning Fan's body in a flash. Ning Fan closed his eyes and shut his sea of consciousness, handing over the control of his body. However, at the next moment, his eyes were filled with surprise. Tai Su did not take away the control of his body. After burning his lifetime's Dao sense, Tai Su turned into a ball of lightning and added it to Ning Fan's primordial spirit. That ball of lightning was much larger than the magic power of all the cultivators in the rain world combined. Under the enhancement of that ball of lightning, Ning Fan's aura force actually skyrocketed at this moment. Void Refinement Realm, Void Fragmentation Realm, Life Immortal Realm, True Immortal Realm. Immortal Emperor Realm. Imo Luo's eyes flashed with surprise. Then, he sneered mockingly. Tai Su's action was beyond Ning Fan's expectation. It was even beyond Imo Luo's expectation. Originally, Imo Luo thought that since Tai Su was no match for him, he would use his physical body to fight against him. However, out of Imo Luo's expectation, Tai Su did not have the intention to fight him at all. Instead, he gave Ning Fan an extremely powerful magic power at the cost of destroying his Dao. It was a secret technique which was completely different from the soul extraction technique. The profound meaning of the soul extraction technique was to forcefully extract, snatch and snatch. As for this secret technique, it was about sacrifice, abandonment and exchange. Burning one's Dao sense and destroying one's Dao in exchange for magic power would grant others terrifying magic power for a short period of time. In order to save Ning Fan, Lightning Emperor Tai Su gave up his lifetime's Dao. The current Ning Fan could not understand the huge price he had to pay. Only after many years would he understand Tai Su's sacrifice and difficulties. Currently, he had fallen into a state of emptiness and confusion. He was like a young child who suddenly became a supreme sovereign with millions of mountains and rivers under his control. However, he did not know how he should give orders. The level of his magic power was raised to the Immortal Emperor realm by Tai Su. Due to Tai Su's great sacrifice, Ning Fan's current magic power was even a small cultivation realm stronger than Tai Su at his peak. Even though it was still inferior to Mo Luo's, there was not much difference between them. The difference in magic power was reduced. However, magic power was not the deciding factor in a battle between immortal Emperor realm experts. Once one becomes an immortal, Tao comprehension was the most important thing. The comprehension of the great Tao determined the destructive power of immortal techniques and the strength of one's combat power. However, Ning Fan's Tao comprehension was still at the void inquiry stage after all. He did not even have the void pierce stage, absolute void stage or void fragmentation realm. Thus, he had yet to understand the word void. Without understanding the concept of void and truth, Ning Fan might not even be able to withstand a single attack from an ordinary immortal emperor even if he possessed the immortal emperor realm magic power. Mo Luo had the same thought. That was why he mocked Tai Su for his stupidity. Ning Fan closed his eyes and bit the tip of his tongue fiercely. With the help of the pain, he slightly calmed his restless heart. Even though his Tao comprehension was far from an immortal emperor, he had reached the half-step void refinement realm after all. He was not a fool. He naturally understood that magic power was useless. With his current immortal emperor realm magic power, Ning Fan might be able to bully ordinary true immortals. However, if he faces an immortal emperor realm expert of the same level as him, he would only be killed instantly. It was absolutely impossible for him to defeat Mo Luo. Unless he relied on his own efforts to comprehend the void and truth step by step and climb to the immortal emperor realm. Only then would he have the qualifications to challenge Mo Luo. May I ask, Senior, why did you save me? Why did you grant me magic power? I have no chance of winning. I have no chance at all. No. Your chance of winning is very low. However, you have at least 40% chance of eliminating Mo Luo. You can give it a try. Unexpectedly, Tai Su had quite a lot of confidence in Ning Fan. I have seen your 3 questions with the help of the incomplete lightning memory reading technique. Your answers are very good. Very good. However, the reason why I believe in your strength is not this. In the past, someone told me that the next person who condenses the Tai Su lightning star can resolve the calamity of my true lightning world in the past 1 billion years. I didn't believe it at first. However, when I saw you for the first time, I believed it. That person had once given me a jade slip. There is an afterimage technique in it. Perhaps you are the only one who can display this technique. Even if you only display the afterimage of this technique. Just the afterimage is enough to defeat Mo Luo. However, if you can't display it, no one can survive this calamity. I have heard your answers to Tai Su's 3 questions. When you were breaking through your seclusion, I had seen the power of that golden purple mist. If I'm not mistaken, that power is the key to display the afterimage technique in the jade slip. Why don't you give it a try? As soon as Tai Su finished speaking, he circulated his lightning power. The 7-colored lightning power slowly condensed into a jade slip and floated in front of Ning Fan. He scanned the jade slip with his spirit sense. Within it, there was a man in purple robes with a blurry face. He was standing on the peak of the sea of clouds. His 5 fingers moved and the golden purple mist turned into a palm imprint. Ning Fan could not see the appearance of the man in purple robes clearly as it was concealed by the samsara. The chi of the man in purple robes gave Ning Fan an extremely familiar feeling. He seemed to be immortal sovereign Zido, but at the same time, he was not. Ning Fan looked at that figure. He seemed to have recalled something, but at the same time, he seemed to have forgotten something. Gradually, he was no longer obsessed with the man's identity. Instead, he just carefully observed the man's palm imprint. What condensed in the middle of the man's palm was an extremely exquisite palm imprint. Upon closer inspection, that palm imprint was made up of 5 fingers. Each of the fingers corresponded to the heaven-breaking sword finger. Moreover, it was the first 5 fingers. When the 5 fingers combined into one, they condensed into a single palm imprint with the help of the samsara mist. Judging from the traces of the fingers, each of them was the heaven-breaking sword finger. However, their sword intent was different from the sword fingers. Moreover, the profound meaning of the sword fingers seemed to be different from the heaven-breaking sword finger. The profound meaning of the heaven-breaking sword finger lied in the word collapse. As for the 5 sword fingers in the palm imprint, the profound meaning was all in the word command. Ning Fan could not find a suitable word to describe it specifically. However, he vaguely understood the Tao sense of this palm imprint. He had once destroyed the southern prison country with a palm imprint. The Tao sense of that palm imprint was somewhat similar to the one in front of him. If I can display this palm imprint, even if it's just a vague shadow of the palm imprint, it will certainly be stronger than these 10 billion devil flames. Before samsara, all devils will become nothing. Is the man who displayed this technique immortal sovereign Zido? But why do I have a feeling that he is not the same person as the immortal sovereign? If he isn't Zido, who else could he be? Ning Fan's mind was filled with doubts, but he gave up all of them. What he needed to do now was just to comprehend that palm imprint. He did not seek to comprehend it completely. He just wanted to display that palm imprint with great effort. A trace of information flowed into his mind. It seemed to be the name of that palm imprint technique. He needed to familiarize himself with the heaven-breaking sword finger one by one before he could combine the 5 fingers into one. Moreover, he needed to get used to his magic power first and determine the realm of his magic power. When Ning Fan's words fell into Tai Su's ears, it turned into a gratified smile. Since Ning Fan could see through a trace of the profound meaning of this technique, the chances of him displaying the residual shadow of this technique was slightly higher than Tai Su's expectation. Tai Su could not help but admit that Ning Fan's comprehension ability was far beyond his expectation. After all, Ning Fan had obtained the memories of ancient chaos as soon as he entered the cultivation world. After entering the illusory realm, he even received guidance from Zido. Thus, his Tao comprehension was naturally extraordinary. Ning Fan's words fell into Mo Luo's ears, causing the latter's expression to turn cold. Mo Luo did not like to joke around. He allowed experts to challenge him, but he hated those who were arrogant. From Mo Luo's point of view, Ning Fan had only obtained magic power and did not have the Tao comprehension of an immortal emperor. Thus, Ning Fan was not even qualified for him to lift a finger. This kind of junior actually dared to boast in front of him. Ning Fan was really overestimating his own strength. You can take your time to ponder and display this palm imprint. Let me see what kind of secret technique it is that actually gives you the confidence to kill me. However, I can bet with you that no matter what kind of secret technique you display, you won't be able to make me use more than 100 million traces of devil flames. Mo Luo believed that Ning Fan had obtained the support of Tai Su's secret technique after all. At least before he leaves the dream of his mind, Ning Fan's magic power would be comparable to his. Those who could force him to use 100 million traces of devil flames were all peak true immortals. In Mo Luo's eyes, Ning Fan only had the strength of a peak true immortal at most. Just as his voice fell, he saw Ning Fan suddenly raise his hand. His vast magic power turned into 5 fingers and clawed. The surrounding darkness was suddenly broken by rays of golden sunlight. The sunlight eventually condensed into a gigantic golden spear. The surface of the golden spear was glowing with golden flames and golden light. Each wisp of golden flames was powerful enough to crush a void refinement realm expert. When the spear was thrown out, rays of sunlight flowed along the strange trajectory of the great Tao. The Yin melting star on Ning Fan's glabella rotated in the opposite direction. That golden spear suddenly shone with dazzling yang power as if it was a golden sun that could illuminate the world. A ray of dazzling sunlight carried a void fragmentation realm aura force and blasted towards Mo Luo. It was a mid-grade divine transformation realm demonic technique, the parting sun spear. Ning Fan had just used the immortal emperor realm magic power and he had yet to fully integrate his magic power. Thus, the magic power he could use was almost negligible. Even so, the mere parting sun spear was already enough to kill a void fragmentation realm old monster. However, Ning Fan only used a void fragmentation realm attack to attack Mo Luo. To Mo Luo, it was really a humiliation. He used magic power which was even higher than Tai Su's, but he only used a void fragmentation realm junior's attack which was not even at the life immortal realm. Could it be that this kind of trash magic technique was the trump card that Ning Fan and Tai Su used to deal with him? Ridiculous. How could this kind of trash magic technique have any chance of harming me? He even said that he had 40% chance of killing me. It turns out that he was just talking nonsense. Mo Luo was so angry that he laughed. He clasped his hands behind his back without moving. With just a thought in his mind, 10,000 traces of devil eyes shot out devil flames which moved as fast as meteors. The 10,000 traces of flames burned the parting sun spear into ashes in an instant. A void fragmentation realm attack was only worthy of Mo Luo using 10,000 traces of devil flames. He even said that Ning Fan could make him use 100 million traces of devil flames. He had really overestimated Ning Fan. The limit of this technique is a void fragmentation realm attack. However, I can't change the might of the spear, but I can change the number of parting sun spears. With the magic power of an immortal emperor realm expert, I can make some slight changes to this technique. He closed his eyes and sensed the flow of the immortal emperor realm magic power in his body. After the initial attack, the magic power in his body was like a wooden tube which was filled with chopsticks. After pulling out a pair of chopsticks, the magic power in his body gradually began to circulate. Those traces of magic power were all obtained by Tai Su when he ignited his Tao. Within the magic power, there were traces of profound Tao comprehension. While experiencing this kind of Tao comprehension, Ning Fan's eyes gradually became blank. Tai Su's Tao comprehension gradually integrated into his mind. At this moment, his consciousness suddenly became unprecedentedly clear again. This unprecedentedly clear state could only be experienced when he consumed the spirit refining grass for the first time and comprehended the spirit wander technique. At this moment, Ning Fan seemed to have entered a strange state. Unity of heaven and man. Mo Luo's expression changed for the first time. Among 10 billion cultivators, there might not even be one who could achieve the unity of heaven and man. This kind of person might have a particularly keen understanding of the heavenly Tao because of their various experiences. Under coincidental circumstances, they could even merge with the heavenly Tao. At least, Mo Luo was not that lucky person. Tai Su was also not that lucky person. No, it should be said that it was not luck but a kind of talent. This person can achieve the unity of heaven and man. Even though he did it with the help of my Tao power, he should be proud of himself. I really didn't misjudge him. He might really be the person who can help the true lightning world to escape from the calamity. The unity of heaven and man. Because Ning Fan was ordinary, he was close to the Tao. Because he cultivated the yin-yang transformation, he became more compatible with the Tao. Everyone had their own Tao. Some were upright, some were deviant, some were crooked. However, only those who were upright and deviant could achieve the unity of heaven and man. It was because the heavenly Tao was originally the product of the contradictory yin and yang. Tai Su was obsessed with lightning while Mo Luo was obsessed with devils. Due to their stubbornness, they could not be close to the Tao. Ning Fan looked stubborn but he was quite flexible. This was the key to achieving the unity of heaven and man. Under the state of the unity of heaven and man, Ning Fan felt that his Tao comprehension was no weaker than that of an immortal emperor. The first time he became one with the world was by chance. For the second time, it was thanks to Tai Su's Tao ignition that he achieved one with the world. In this state, Ning Fan's understanding of the parting sun spear was even more thorough than the creator of this technique. He seemed to be able to see through the development of the parting sun spear and knew how to make the parting sun spear stronger. Yin fusion, thunder division, true yang. The true yang transforms into shadows, and the golden spear splits into shadows. There is truth in the void. Ning Fan muttered to himself. Even he himself might not be able to comprehend what he just said. All of them were seen from the heavenly Tao. the heavenly Tao could deduce the trajectory of this technique. From that trajectory, Ning Fan saw the strongest form of the parting sun spear. Once again, he made a grabbing motion with his 5 fingers. Heaven and earth gave birth to sunlight, and the sunlight condensed into a golden spear. As his magical power flowed smoothly, his execution of the parting sun spear became even more perfect. However, he did not use his golden spear. The maximum attack of the parting sun spear was a void fragmentation realm strike. No matter how strong it was, the body of the spear would certainly collapse. Why did it collapse? Because his physical body could no longer withstand the higher grade of magic power, he needed to voidify. Divide. A physical spear suddenly became faint and divided into 2 slightly illusory spear shadows. It was as if the golden pigment that was only enough to draw 1 golden spear was enough to form 2 golden spear shadows after being diluted with water. 2 divided into 4, 4 divided into 8. Gradually, there were already more than 1,000,000 spear shadows in the sky. Each of those illusory spear shadows could kill a void refinement realm being. Even though the spear shadows had become faint and their destructive power seemed to have decreased significantly, the number of the spear shadows had increased to a terrifying level. Ning Fan did not pursue the maximum attack power of a single spear shadow. Instead, he sought the best balance between the limit and the number of the spear shadows. After this parting sun spear is divided into shadows, it can be listed as an immortal technique. It can be named parting sun split shadows. Immortal technique, parting sun split shadows. CHI.AS Ning Fan pointed his finger at the air. 1,000,000 illusory golden spear shadows suddenly pierced towards Mo Luo at the next moment. Mo Luo's eyes turned slightly serious for the first time. It was because Ning Fan, who was just a junior at the first step of the heavenly Tao, had actually created an immortal technique in front of him. Rumble. The 1,000,000 spear shadows had nearly extinguished 130 million traces of devil flames and destroyed 130 million devil eyes. It was even stronger than Mo Luo's estimation of Ning Fan's maximum strength. 130 million traces of devil flames. Your prediction doesn't seem to be accurate. Ning Fan's eyes were filled with a hint of indifference and dignity. That dignity was borrowed from the heavenly Tao after attaining the unity of heaven and man. You can continue. While you still have the unity of heaven and man, create a few more types of immortal techniques and comprehend the essence of that secret technique. If you can destroy 1 billion traces of devil flames, you can at least fight against an ordinary immortal emperor right now. Mo Luo turned his hand and the devil flames of his destroyed devil eyes reformed. He was waiting for Ning Fan to give him his strongest attack. He did not care about being killed by Ning Fan at all. He was already dead. Even if he is defeated this time, he would only lose the chance to enslave Ning Fan. That was all. After sleeping for 1,000,000 years, he might still be able to wait for the next slave of Mo Luo. That was just a superficial reason. The real reason was that Mo Luo never believed that Ning Fan could defeat him. It was impossible under any circumstances. As for Ning Fan, he tightly grasped this opportunity to comprehend the limits of each and every magic technique. In the end, he finally displayed the technique in the jade slip. The chance to attain the unity of heaven and man was hard to come by again. There would not be a second chance in his life to receive the gift of magic techniques from an immortal emperor. This was an opportunity for Ning Fan to cultivate all of his past magic techniques to their peak. Of course, the most important thing was that he wanted to devour Mo Luo today. He was not a magnanimous person. He would not forgive Mo Luo's provocation and persecution just because Mo Luo allowed him to test his techniques. He wanted Mo Luo to pay the price. If he uses that palm strike, Mo Luo would no longer have the chance to revive. Mo Luo would pay the price for his arrogance, Tao destruction. Chapter 424. With the help of the heavenly Tao comprehension of the unity of heaven and man, Ning Fan deduced the parting sun spear to the grade of an immortal technique. However, everything has its limit. The limit of this immortal technique obviously could not reach the level of an immortal emperor. It was just a useless technique in a battle between immortal emperors. If it is used in a battle between life immortals or true immortals, it could be useful. This was the limit of the parting sun spear. Even if it turned into a phantom, it could only have this much destructive power. Of course, if he adds some changes on top of the phantom form, it might make this technique even stronger. However, the current Ning Fan could not fully comprehend that kind of changes even if he was in the unity of heaven and man. The future of this technique was limited after all. Ning Fan's eyes turned slightly cold. He no longer deduced the parting sun spear. He should use a stronger technique to derive it so that he could gain more enlightenment. In the end, everything he did was to prepare for the comprehension of the final attack. With a thought in his mind, he decided to derive the technique and complete his comprehension. Naturally, it would be a technique that made it stronger. Every step he took triggered the great momentum of the heavenly Tao. With one step, heaven and earth collapsed. With 5 steps, the great momentum was destroyed. With 9 steps, the sovereign sword was formed. Ning Fan's eyes were filled with surprise. He did not expect that when the 9 heaven-treading steps was derived to the extreme, it would actually break the heavenly momentum, merge with the sovereign momentum and make the sovereign heaven immortal. The 1,000,000 rays of sovereign qi turned into 1,000,000 pure golden killing swords. After using the 9 heaven-treading steps, his sword power reached its peak. The 1,000,000 rays of sovereign qi were naturally left by Tai Su. Seeing Ning Fan, who was just a divine transformation realm cultivator, actually grasped the method to use the sovereign qi, both Tai Su and Mo Luo were slightly surprised. Those who could touch the threshold of the sovereign qi at the void fragmentation realm could be considered as sovereigns. They were considered as people who had a natural affinity with the sovereign qi. However, the significance of Ning Fan comprehending the sovereign qi at the divine transformation realm was significant. At first, Ning Fan did not want to use the sovereign qi to prevent the Rain Sovereign from knowing about it. Fortunately, the place where he was displaying the sovereign qi was a dream in his mind. No one else would know about it. Besides, compared to the Rain Sovereign, he was obviously billions of times more dangerous than Mo Luo. Of course, he did not mind using the sovereign qi. Mo Luo's eyes turned solemn. He vaguely felt that it was a mistake to let Ning Fan derive the technique. His eyes turned slightly solemn. He vaguely felt that it was a mistake to let Ning Fan derive the technique. However, his pride did not allow him to fear a deity transformation junior. A junior at the soul formation stage, even if he used a secret technique to increase his magic power to the immortal emperor stage, even if he achieved the unity of heaven and man and obtained the comprehension of the heavenly Tao, compared to a real immortal emperor stage, there was still a world of difference. It was irresistible. Mo Luo raised a hand, and 1,000,000,000 demonic flames swept out. The demonic flames burned the heavens, and the 1,000,000 sovereign swords were incinerated one after another. His tone was still disdainful. 1,000,000,000 devil flames. If you can't come up with a stronger technique, you will die today. Don't worry, I won't let you down. Ning Fan deduced the advancement method of the 9 heaven-treading steps. His heart became even more tranquil. He closed his eyes, and a black aura gradually rose around his body. It was also a black aura, but this black aura was the same as the demonic aura. It was formed by the ink-colored divine sense. Ning Fan's black hair cascaded down like a waterfall. His eyes opened coldly and the left side of his face was covered with demonic marks. His black robe fluttered in the wind. His aura became even more unfathomable. Incarnation. This incarnation looks a little familiar. This is Immortal Emperor Tai Chang's Sense Soul Technique. This time, Immortal Emperor Tai Su was the one who was surprised. He did not realize that each of Ning Fan's trump cards had a stronger background than the previous one. First, it was the sovereign qi. Then, it was the incarnation. This young man has comprehended 2 types of void fragmentation realm secret techniques when he was just at the divine transformation realm. His innate potential is indeed unparalleled. However, if it's just the incarnation of his sense soul, it's definitely impossible for him to be Great Emperor Mo Luo's opponent. Immortal Emperor Tai Chang's strength is much weaker than mine. His sense soul incarnation is good at defense but not offense. Tai Su muttered to himself. At the next moment, he suddenly paused. Ning Fan's eyes were cold and emotionless. He took a step forward and his incarnation suddenly shattered. Inwardly, he was repeatedly deducing the heavenly Tao and thinking about the advancement method of the Black Tempest soul-splitting technique. Shatter and condense. Shatter again and condense again. Shattering from the real is actually a deduction of the void. Condensing from the broken to the real is actually a deduction of the true. I don't understand the void and I don't understand the true, but I understand the ingenious fusion between the true and the void. With my current strange state, I should be able to comprehend a thing or two. Condense. Countless traces of black sense suddenly turned into an illusory black shadow and rushed towards Mo Luo. Each trace of power that formed the black shadow was sword sense. Mo Luo was slightly stunned. He did not expect that Ning Fan also possessed sword sense. However, if it's just a sword sense of this level, it would not be able to hurt Mo Luo at all. Mo Luo only activated a trace of devil flame and burned that black shadow with a hint of mockery. Weak. Too weak. An attack of this level won't be able to hurt me. Just as his voice fell, his eyes slightly trembled at the next moment. When one shadow was burned, two shadows were born. When the two shadows were burned, 4 more shadows were born. In the midst of the shattering and rebirth, the number of black shadows increased. Eventually, billions of black shadows were formed. The destructive power of each of the black shadows was slightly stronger than Mo Luo's devil flame. The billions of black shadows shattered and condensed at the same time. The transformation of the true and void power during the process of shattering was enough to completely destroy Mo Luo's billions of devil flames. Moreover, it could even hurt Mo Luo. This technique, Mo Luo's heart skipped a beat. At the next moment, his eyes relaxed. It was because the billions of black shadows that Ning Fan had forcefully split into exploded one after another. His technique had failed. The reason why he failed was not because of the wrong direction of his deduction. Even Tai Su and Mo Luo were slightly shocked by the method of transforming his body into 10 billion. The reason why Ning Fan failed was all because the spirit sense that Tai Su gave him was not strong enough to display this technique. After cultivating the Black Shadow Spirit Clone technique to 10 billion clones, the requirement towards the realm of the spirit sense was especially terrifying. Even Tai Su's spirit will was not strong enough to perform this technique. If the level of Ning Fan's spirit sense is a little higher, he would definitely have the confidence to injure Mo Luo with a single strike when he fully displays the 10 billion black shadows. This technique was indeed very powerful. Of course, the prerequisite was that Ning Fan needed to be able to use it. Failed, Ning Fan was not discouraged. On the contrary, he was slightly satisfied. He finally saw the cultivation direction of the ink flow spirit fission art. In the future, he would increase the number of clones he could use to kill his enemies. The secret technique was slowly weakening. The immortal emperor level magic power was slowly weakening. Ning Fan did not want to delay any longer. All he could do was to make use of this opportunity as much as possible to derive magic techniques that were worth more deducing. His eyes flashed. He wanted to deduce another technique. Soul extraction. In the past, he only knew how to extract the souls of the earth, mountains and rivers. However, after meeting Mo Luo today, Ning Fan found out that there were still the void soul, the sun moon star soul and the heavenly Tao soul above the earth soul. The heavenly Tao only had one soul. Now, it had been extracted by Mo Luo. However, now that Ning Fan had merged with the heavenly Tao, he could faintly feel that the actual soul of the heavenly Tao had not been completely extracted by Mo Luo. There were still a lot of souls of the foreign Tao left. At this moment, Ning Fan understood a trace of the profound meaning of extracting the soul of the heavenly Tao. He even understood a trace of the soul extraction technique, which was a higher level than the soul of the heavenly Tao. However, what made him laugh at himself was that he could see through the profound soul extraction technique, but he could not see through the void soul, which was the second last technique. The reason why he could not see through it was because his understanding of the word void was not deep enough. Unless he had a deeper understanding of the void, he would not be able to extract the void soul. However, now that he had the magic power of an immortal emperor, he could extract the soul above the heavenly Tao and break Mo Luo's technique. The heavenly Tao is just one Tao. The sixth Tao is the foundation. At this moment, I can't understand what the Tao is. However, I can barely extract some of the six Tao souls. It is not enough to improve my magic power, but it can break your soul extraction technique. Soul of the sixth Tao, extract. Ning Fan made a grabbing motion with his 5 fingers. Even though he had yet to completely understand the soul extraction technique, he had a way to seize the soul of the heavenly Tao from Mo Luo's body. The sixth Tao goes against the will of the heavenly Tao. The heavenly Tao becomes chaotic and the soul power collapses. Mo Luo's chest felt as if he had suffered a heavy blow. He took 3 steps back continuously before he could stabilize himself. His expression was cold and murderous. A trace of blood actually flowed out from the corner of his mouth. He was careless and his soul was forcefully extracted by Ning Fan. He had already suffered a backlash. Extract the soul of the sixth Tao. Good. Good. You won't have the chance to derive any more magic techniques. You have already made me really angry. Mo Luo's eyes turned cold. A gush of ferocious devil chi suddenly swept across heaven and earth. The devil flames of 10 billion devil eyes shot out at the same time. It had the ferocious might that could incinerate the myriad worlds in the heavens. Streams of devil flames collided with Ning Fan's chest like meteors. Ning Fan's chest trembled and he immediately coughed out blood. He retreated continuously. His injuries were getting more and more serious. Such serious injuries were definitely not something that Black Star could heal. The only thing he could rely on was the immortal Emperor realm magic power in his body to repair his physical body. However, repairing his physical body would consume too much of his magic power. Ning Fan had already used up half of the magic power that Tai Su had given him during the time he took to take a few hundred steps back. We can't delay any longer. Quickly attack. This devil has lost his patience. Tai Su reminded. Yes. After deducing several magic techniques, Ning Fan's control over the magic power of an immortal emperor realm became much smoother. Perhaps he was still far inferior to other immortal emperors. However, among the 7 levels of the first step of cultivation, perhaps even void fragmentation realm old monsters would not dare to say that their control of magic power was more precise than Ning Fan's. Not a single trace of wastage was wasted. Every trace was used in both offense and defense. In his mind, he recalled the elegance of that palm strike and the silhouette of that purple-robed man, which made him even more unfathomable. Who is it? Who is it? Familiar? Strange? Seen it before, never seen it before. With the help of the heavenly Tao, the trajectory of every trace of magic power in that palm strike gradually became clear in his mind. Forming a palm with his 5 fingers, the heaven-collapsing sword finger merged into one. Collapsing vast island rivers and mountains. A single finger could collapse mountains and rivers, possessing the power to kill nascent soul cultivators. Second, black sun collapsing firmament. When 2 fingers collapsed, the sky collapsed and the sun shattered, possessing the power to kill divine transformation realm experts. Third, void death bones. When 3 fingers collapsed, all the corpses of the dead who died in the void appeared one after another and shattered. The death chi in the void condensed into sword fingers which possessed the power to kill void refinement realm experts. Fourth, collapsing sovereign shadow tombs. When the 4 fingers collapsed, ancient tombs which were condensed from sovereign chi appeared in the vast sky. However, they collapsed one after another. Each time a tomb collapsed, there would definitely be a sword of sovereign chi which was comparable to the first heavenly layer of the void fragmentation realm. It would pierce through the vault of heaven, destroying hundreds of tombs, destroying the void fragmentation realm and injuring life immortals. Fifth, collapsing heaven immortal path. When the 5 fingers collapsed, each of the immortal paths that connected to the heavens collapsed. Each time an immortal path collapsed, there would be an immortal imprisoning sword which was powerful enough to kill a life immortal realm expert sweeping across the void. Each of the immortal imprisoning sword was powerful enough to kill a life immortal realm expert. Based on Ning Fan's understanding of the 5 fingers of the sword finger, he would perform the first, the second and the 5th consecutively. Today, however, he performed a sword with each of his 5 fingers and the 5 swords merged into one. Golden purple wind mist rose from the center of his palm. Under the effect of the wind mist technique, the 5 sword fingers slowly condensed into a golden purple palm imprint. Even the 5th heaven collapsing finger, which was one of the 5 swords, was only enough to kill an ordinary life immortal realm expert. However, when the 5 fingers merged into one, Ning Fan felt his magic power flowing into the palm imprint like a torrent. The destructive power of this palm imprint was enough to kill a true immortal realm expert. While he was dodging the attacks of the devil flames, he was condensing the palm imprint. Ning Fan had made countless deductions in his mind. However, he could no longer deduce the following steps of condensing the palm imprint. Perhaps, the profound principles contained in this palm imprint had already passed through the heavenly Tao of this world. He gradually realized that the reason why the 5 fingers were condensed using the wind mist was probably because of the power of samsara. This palm imprint should depict samsara. The samsara imprint of the wind mist finger was the indifference and helplessness of ashes returning to ashes and dust returning to dust. The samsara imprint of the wind snow finger was the determination to retain everything even if it meant freezing samsara. However, this palm imprint was different. That silhouette has integrated his Tao sense into this palm imprint. He wants to control samsara with this palm imprint. Immortal technique, one hand covering the sky. Ning Fan struck out with his palm. A kind of chi aura that was hard to describe spread out from his palm. At this moment, the jade slip shattered. A faint shadow floated out from it and slowly condensed into a gigantic purple shadow behind Ning Fan. The appearance of that gigantic shadow was shocking. Other than Ning Fan, who did not see it, both Tai Su and Mo Luo saw that purple-robed silhouette. That person was none other than the peerless cultivator who created this one hand covering the sky technique and swore to control samsara. Tai Su had seen that person before. He was the one who gave him this jade slip. Mo Luo had also seen this person before. When he saw his face, he felt fear from the bottom of his heart despite his arrogance and haughtiness. This jade slip actually has a trace of his Tao sense sealed in it. It's him. It's him. It's him. But how is this possible? He's clearly dead. No. It's not him. If it's him, it's impossible for me to remember him. He doesn't allow anyone to remember him. That's right. So it's him and not him. But I shouldn't know him and I shouldn't have met him before. Where did I meet him? Damn it. One day, after 70% of my Tao sense breaks free from the suppression, I will definitely figure out everything and find out what exactly happened. But today, I must escape. Mo Luo was actually afraid to fight. Even if his opponent was an immortal emperor or the strongest among the 9 devil emperors, he would not be afraid. However, this gigantic purple shadow was one of the people he absolutely did not dare to provoke. No matter if his guess was right or wrong, this person was not someone he could afford to provoke. Who is it? Ning Fan was secretly shocked. He wanted to turn his head around and look at that person's face. However, he suddenly felt a sharp pain in his sea of consciousness. At the moment he saw that person's face, all of his memories were erased. He could no longer remember that person's appearance. The only thing he remembered was that person's kind smile. Who is this person? You're not bad. With your innate potential, it's enough for you to defeat Mo Luo if you can comprehend a little bit of this palm technique. However, you will inevitably let him escape. In the past, I had already foreseen today's situation. The reason why I left this jade slip is to help you resolve your predicament. However, this is the only chance for me to help you in this lifetime. Otherwise, forget it. What's the point of saying so much? Suppressing this fiend is the right thing to do. It can also be considered as settling the grudges of the past. Helping you is just an accident. However, this accident is also in the cycle of samsara. One day, you will understand it. As soon as the voice of the purple-robed man entered Ning Fan's ears, it was forcefully erased without leaving any trace, not giving anyone the chance to perform divination. He only had one chance to help Ning Fan in this place. He would only help Ning Fan once. The price he had to pay was the destruction of these traces of Tao sense. He was neither a living person nor a dead person. However, he must not appear. In the end, Ning Fan did not figure out whether this person was Mr. Zido or not. However, this person had already taken action and suppressed Mo Luo on Ning Fan's behalf. I will help you get rid of the 30% of Tao sense of this fiend. As for the remaining 70% of Tao sense that is being suppressed by Mo Luo Mountain, when your cultivation base is strong enough, you can go to the devil world and kill him. The gigantic purple-robed figure took a step forward. A terrifying aura force directly shattered the 10 billion devil eyes. Was Mo Luo very strong? However, in front of this purple-robed man, he was nothing. You can't do this. My slave, Lu Yi, used to guard the 6 Tao. He has seen you before. He has seen you before. So what if he has seen me before? The purple-robed man smiled coldly and sent out a palm strike. The 5 fingers of the heaven-breaking sword finger turned into a palm and a purple-golden palm imprint pressed down. Mo Luo wanted to flee in panic. However, no matter where he fled to, the gigantic purple-golden palm would always hang above his head. When his devil body grew bigger, the palm imprint also grew bigger. When he turned into a tiny speck of dust, the palm imprint also became smaller, not allowing Mo Luo to escape from the gap between his fingers. The palm imprint was getting closer and closer to him. Mo Luo's eyes were filled with terror, but he could no longer avoid it. When the palm imprint landed on his body, he activated all the defenses of his physical body. However, as soon as the palm imprint touched him, all of them collapsed. One hand covers the sky. There was no way for him to escape. Ah! With a miserable shriek, Mo Luo, who had 30% of his strength, was instantly killed. The gigantic devil mountain behind him disappeared. After his death, the blood mist slowly turned into a drop of black devil blood. The remaining 70% of Mo Luo's devil sense was suppressed by the devil mountain. Now, he hated Ning Fan to the core. Young man, I will remember you. Just you wait. In less than 1,000,000 years, I will wait for the next devil slave and I will certainly break out of the seal. Next time, there won't be a second Tai Su who will burn his Tao sense to save you from your tribulation. He truly destroyed his Tao, and I only lost 30% of my cultivation. Just you wait. Just you wait. In the end, that voice could no longer be heard. The purple-robed man also held a drop of devil blood in his hand. He studied it carefully and seemed to have recalled something, feeling a little nostalgic. Mo Luo's blood. The purple-robed man sighed emotionally. With a flick of his finger, he flicked the devil blood into Ning Fan's body. After using the power of that palm imprint just now, his gigantic shadow had already used up the power of his Tao sense and began to dissipate. After all, he was just a trace of Tao sense and not a living person. He was about to die. However, before he left, he took a deep look at Ning Fan. He was not looking at Ning Fan but Tai Su. He seemed to be saying something to Tai Su through telepathy. However, Ning Fan could not hear it. The only thing he could hear was Tai Su's voice of disbelief. The karma of the past has been settled today. Are you satisfied with this result? The purple-robed man smiled faintly and his figure became even fainter. Sigh. I'm satisfied. I didn't expect the result to be like this. Tai Su was obviously very surprised. No one knew what the relationship between the purple-robed man, Tai Su, and Mo Luo was. Whether the purple-robed man was Zido or not and why he wanted to conceal his identity, no one knew. The only thing they knew was that 30% of Mo Luo's devil sense had already died. The purple-robed man was also going to disappear soon. As for Tai Su, he had also burned his Dao sense and was about to perish. Everything was like a dream. At the beginning of the dream, there was only Ning Fan. After the dream, the three peerless experts would pass away one after another. Only Ning Fan was left. The devil race has lost its blood. Even though there is only one drop of Mo Luo's blood, it is a great opportunity for you. If you refine it, you will have the chance to become the second Mo Luo. The purple-robed man laughed. With a bang, the gigantic shadow collapsed. When it collapsed, Immortal Emperor Tai Su wanted to say something but he could not say anything in the end. He turned into a ray of lightning light and got out of Ning Fan's body, turning back into the red-robed elderly man. As for Ning Fan, he suddenly felt a sense of weakness which almost made him fall asleep. Thank you, Immortal Emperor Tai Su, for saving my life. Ning Fan cupped his fists to express his gratitude. Thank me. I originally thought that it would be like that. I didn't expect it to be like this. In that case, whether I thank you or not is just an empty dream. Immortal Emperor Tai Su seemed to still be immersed in the words of the purple-robed man and could not let go of it. I wonder what request Senior has. As long as I can help you, I will certainly do my best to help you. Even though it was the purple-robed man who killed Mo Luo in the end, Ning Fan would certainly not have been able to survive if it wasn't for Tai Su's help. He was neither a gentleman nor a vile person. However, he would certainly repay the favor. Request, huh? Tai Su's eyes turned slightly solemn. He wanted to say something but eventually kept his mouth shut. Forget it. It's a long story. I will condense it into a jade slip. You will know once you take a look at it. Whether you can do it or not, you will have to do your best. The true lightning world is my hometown. I will have to trouble little friend for everything. Tai Su made a grabbing motion with his 5 fingers, condensing the lightning power into a jade slip and passed it to Ning Fan. His eyes were filled with nostalgia. He missed a white-haired old woman whom he had not seen for many years and whose fate was unknown. You are luckier than me. You have an infatuated woman who is willing to do so much for you. The Pure Heart Universal Kindness Incantation. The backlash from this woman must be extremely great. What are you talking about, Senior? Why can't I understand? Ning Fan asked in confusion. It doesn't matter if you don't understand. Whether you are heartless or fickle, there is only one thing. When a flower blossoms, it must be plucked. That woman is not bad. Young man, cherish her. Tai Su closed his eyes in disappointment. He was already dead. Today, his Tao was destroyed. To an immortal emperor, the destruction of his Tao was just another death on top of his previous death. At this moment, what he missed was not the respect he had for a lifetime or the throne of Tao enlightenment but the resentful gaze of a white-haired old woman. Fei Feng, Tai Su murmured the last name and gradually disappeared. At the moment when he disappeared, Ning Fan clearly felt that a trace of Tao power disappeared from the heavenly Tao. The disappearance of this trace of Tao power meant that the position of the lightning-wielding immortal emperor, which had been vacant for many years, would become vacant again. This scene might cause a great commotion in the 4 heavens. However, no one would know that a purple-robed expert and 2 immortal emperors had fallen one after another at this very moment. Some of them were really dead while some of them were faking their deaths. Some of them had their Tao destroyed. It was hard to tell who was real and who was fake. If it wasn't because of the strong sense of weakness in his body reminding him, if it wasn't because of the memories of deducing several types of magic techniques in his mind, and if it wasn't because of the trace of Tao power and Qi left by the heavenly Tao in his body, Ning Fan would definitely think that everything was really just a dream. Today, however, it was time for him to wake up from this dream. The black primordial spirit wants to make me Mo Luo's slave. I wonder what kind of expression you will have when you find out that 30% of Mo Luo's devil sense has died. Ning Fan sneered. In a split second, blood lightning appeared in his finger bones. Within the blood lightning, there was also a drop of black devil blood which nourished his primordial spirit. At this moment, the devil Qi above Ning Fan's primordial spirit was monstrous. He opened his eyes. There were no signs of him being contaminated by the devil Qi. At this moment, he could release and withdraw his devil Qi at will. Why are you awake? In his dantian, the black primordial spirit was still trying its best to resist the lightning power of his finger bones, trying to gain complete control of his body and become Mo Luo's slave. However, it did not expect that Ning Fan's primordial spirit which had been injured by the devil Qi would awaken at this moment. Moreover, as soon as it awakened, it gave it a feeling that it could not resist. That feeling originated from the drop of devil blood which Ning Fan had devoured. Didn't you want to become Mo Luo's slave? I have devoured a drop of Mo Luo's blood. Now, I am Mo Luo. Ning Fan's primordial spirit revealed a cold expression. After a flash, it returned to his dantian and regained control of his body. At this moment, Ning Fan's devilish giant body returned to its original appearance. At this moment, Ning Fan's primordial spirit occupied his dantian. His tiny primordial spirit was wearing golden armor and stepping on the black primordial spirit. Its eyes were filled with killing intent. Impossible. This is absolutely impossible. How could Lord Mo Luo's blood be in your hands? Unless he's dead, otherwise, his devil blood. That's right. He's dead. Ning Fan sneered. I don't believe it. I don't believe it. This is fake. The black primordial spirit was crying and laughing at times as if it had gone mad. He wholeheartedly wanted to become Mo Luo's slave. In his heart, Mo Luo was the strongest. However, Ning Fan knew that Mo Luo was not the strongest. Tai Su was not the strongest. Even that purple-robed man might not be the strongest. In this world, there was no such thing as the strongest. Whoever could walk to the end of the Tao would be the strongest. Unfortunately, no one knew where the end of the Tao would be. This time, Ning Fan really felt the feeling of being a strong expert after achieving the unity of heaven and man and possessing the immortal emperor realm for a short period of time. I can't be complacent anymore. I can't. Perhaps 1,000,000 years later, I will have another battle with Mo Luo who has broken the seal. Perhaps that battle will be even closer. However, at that time, I will be a true immortal emperor. I will let Mo Luo know that the junior that he looked down upon in the past had already become an existence that he could only look up to. I still have a long way to go. However, you can die now. The next one will be King Yinglong. Ning Fan's eyes flashed with cold light. He opened his mouth and swallowed the black primordial spirit. The devil Qi in his body became stronger. Then, he refined the devil blood and devoured the finger bone. Mo Luo's blood, Tai Su's bone and the technique of the purple-robed man had all fallen into Ning Fan's hands. Mo Luo's devil mark seemed to have been rid of its hidden danger. However, he still needed to go to the giant devil clan to continue upgrading his devil marks. Zhu Mo, Lu Yi, Lan Jiao, and Gue Mu were all Mo Luo's slaves. They must have studied the slave marks very deeply. In the end, Ning Fan could not completely refine the devil blood. It seemed like he had to upgrade his devil marks to the martial realm before he could refine the blood. Perhaps at that time, he would know the use of the blood. As for the immortal emperor's finger bone, he could refine it as he pleased. Originally, refining the emperor's bone was definitely dangerous. However, Tai Su did not have any evil intentions towards Ning Fan. His bone also did not resist Ning Fan's devouring. The process of devouring the emperor's bone was rather smooth. After devouring the emperor's bone, Ning Fan's magic power skyrocketed, reaching the level of 650,000 units. The improvement of his magic power was just 1 point. The improvement of his physical body was the key. The strength of his physical body had broken through to the peak level of the Jade Life realm. It was just 1 step away from attaining the Golden Body realm. Besides, Ning Fan also understood that it would probably be very difficult for him to attain the Golden Body refining realm this time. However, his corpse devil body allowed his Jade Life pinnacle physical body to not be any weaker than an ordinary Golden Body cultivator. As for the devil body Dharma images of Mist Horn, Six Wings, and Ghost Eye, if they were to be executed, they would probably be able to fight even a Golden Body Realm 2 cultivator. After all, this devil body was an imitation of Great Emperor Mo Luo's Dharma idol by his second soul core, and it combined the advantages of the 4 great devil races of the Inner Sea. So, its might was naturally extraordinary. As such, he could almost instantly kill a Void Glimpse stage cultivator if he were to activate his devil body with all his might. With the lightning armor on his body, he was undefeatable in the innate realm. He could even withstand Void Inquiry stage attacks. It was not impossible for him to fight against King Yinglong. The only thing he needed to consider was that this demon body seemed to be hesitating. The demon blood hadn't been completely refined yet, so it was unable to maintain a stable state. If he activated it during battle, he wouldn't be able to maintain it for too long. He needed to finish this battle quickly. Mo Luo's Dharma idol, huh? After I transform into my devil form, I can instantly kill a Void Glimpse stage cultivator. There is no doubt about this. The 3 days they had agreed on with Lei Shi were almost up. Ning Fan's primordial spirit returned to his body. He dispersed his devil body and returned to his usual white robes. However, he did not immediately leave the profound Yin world. As soon as he regained his senses, his expression changed and became blank. Beside him, a lady in white robes with a pale complexion was pouring all of her magic power into her primordial spirit to nourish Ning Fan's primordial spirit. She formed a hand seal with all 10 of her fingers and chanted some Sanskrit chants which had the miraculous effect of dispelling the devil qi. Ning Fan was very familiar with this magic power which was as cool as autumn water. It was the cool power that woke him up when he was almost lost in Mo Luo's devil voice. The other person who saved me is actually little Yu Er. When did she wake up? Ning Fan had no idea. The only thing he knew was that Luo Yu, who was gradually recovering the power of her primordial spirit, had actually become weak again because she channeled her power to save Ning Fan. Fortunately, this time, she was not as weak as she was at the beginning. Her qi was greatly damaged, but it was not to the point where she needed to fall into a deep sleep. It was just that her primordial spirit was weak and she needed to recuperate and nourish it. You are all right now. Seeing that Ning Fan had woken up, Luo Yu felt as if a huge rock had been lifted from her heart. Her brows relaxed and she smiled indifferently. That's good. Her vision turned black and she fell into Ning Fan's arms, falling into a deep sleep. How could this be? Ning Fan's eyes turned solemn. Amidst his confusion, he once again owed Luo Yu a huge favor. Moreover, he understood that the reason why Luo Yu helped him was different from the reason why she helped him previously. All of a sudden, he seemed to have understood Immortal Emperor Tai Su's words. The good woman that Tai Su mentioned was probably Luo Yu. What a cunning little woman. When did you wake up? You actually managed to hide from me. If you wake up again next time, I certainly won't let you pretend to be asleep again. However, for now, you should have a good rest. Ning Fan carefully carried Luo Yu and returned to the thatched cottage step by step. Then, he helped her to stabilize the weakness of her primordial spirit. Inwardly, he was thinking that it would be better for him to ask Hong Yi for a few tufts of 100,000 years old spiritual herbs to harmonize a few pieces of dark golden bamboo leaves to treat Luo Yu's injuries. After this incident, Ning Fan seemed to be even more reluctant to watch Luo Yu die. Chapter 425. At the foot of the Zhong Mountain on the 11th floor of the Lightning Tower. The wind and rain were cold. Lightning flashed and thunder rumbled. A group of more than 200 undead spirits rushed to the valley of the Zhong Mountain. It was the palace of the Lightning Lord of the 11th floor, Zhu Feng. All of these 200 cultivators were at the Divine Transformation Realm and above. 6 of them were even at the Void Refinement Realm. However, the leader of this group of cultivators was definitely not a Void Refinement Realm cultivator. Instead, he was a white-robed young man at the Divine Transformation Realm. "We're close." Ning Fan's eyes were calm. Even though he was about to fight against the strongest expert of the 11th floor, he did not have any worries. His physical body had broken through to the peak Jade Life Realm. With his corpse devil body, he could go head-on against a body cultivator at the first level of the Golden Body Realm and go head-on against a Void Glimpse stage old monster. After refining the Immortal Emperor's finger bone, Ning Fan thought that if he uses his sword finger now, its destructive power would probably be different from before. Even if it was just a drop of Mo Luo's blood and he had yet to completely refine it, Ning Fan would still be able to transform into his devil form. With the might of that drop of devil blood, Ning Fan could turn into his devil form and transform into the 4 forms of Mo Luo. During the short period of time he transformed, he could even fight against a Void Inquiry stage expert. However, since he had yet to completely refine Mo Luo's blood, there was a drawback when he used this blood devil form recklessly. Every time he demonized, Ning Fan would feel that his primordial spirit was turning black. The more times he demonized and the longer it lasted, the darker the color of his primordial spirit would be. That black color was devil nature. It would not be a problem if he had less devil nature. However, if too much devil nature was accumulated, Ning Fan would probably lose his mind and lose his emotions. Even though he would not become a cold-blooded and heartless person like the black primordial spirit, Ning Fan never liked to be influenced by external factors. He would not use the devil form if he could. Unless he completely devoured Mo Luo's blood and broke through to the Golden Body Realm, Ning Fan would not have to worry about his devil form anymore. Kill. In the dark valley, a hidden formation light flashed. Tens of thousands of cultivators suddenly appeared. Each of them held a lightning crossbow and shot thousands of deadly lightning arrows at Ning Fan's direction. The lightning arrows were like rain. Being caught in the midst of the thunderstorm, they came even faster. Each of the lightning arrows was powerful enough to kill a nascent soul cultivator. Tens of thousands of them could even kill a soul formation cultivator in an instant. Despite there being so many lightning arrows, a group of cultivators could not slow down. Ning Fan's eyes flashed with indifference. He rolled up his sleeve. Even though it was just a casual wave of his hand, an unimaginably massive force was sent out. It was enough to shake mountains and rivers. The force of a single flick of his sleeve was already comparable to the full-force attack of a Void Glimpse stage expert. The tremendous force caused the mountains and rivers to crumble. 10,000 lightning arrows were shattered into pieces. Tens of thousands of enemies who were hiding in the dark were all annihilated in a single strike. Only 7 panicked figures who were each at the half-step Void Refinement Realm were lucky enough to survive. Retreat quickly. Report to the Lightning Lord. Zhou Ming has already killed his way to the foot of Zhong Mountain. None of the 17 layers of defense could stop him. 3 Void Glimpse stage commanders have already died in his hands. You think you can leave? Ning Fan's tone was indifferent. He raised his palm and a cold sword light that was as thin as a cicada's wing flashed and disappeared without a trace. Of the 7 enemies who his had pierced. The next moment, the 7 enemies that. Of Qi of Fan of Ming. Of the palace. That sword light was too fast. It was even faster than the traveling speed of a void glimpse stage cultivator. Other than void inquiry stage experts, who else could defend against it? The sharpness of that sword light nearly ignored all the defenses of a void glimpse stage cultivator. The moment the sword light pierced through their bodies, millions upon millions of sword threads pierced out from their dantians. In just a flash, the 7 cultivators were minced by the sword threads and a mist of blood burst out. Ning Fan's expression remained unmoved. He had already killed 16 people like this on his way to the lightning palace of Zhong Mountain. This was the 17th time. There were already 400 divine transformation realm cultivators who died in his hands, and 3 of them were void glimpse stage experts. Shao Qin swallowed the primordial lightning into his stomach and refined it. He then put the thunder jades into his hand and tossed them to Lei Shi, who was behind him. Ning Fan's techniques were well practiced. Killing people and robbing their treasures was already a common occurrence for him. However, the expressions of the 6 void refinement realm experts behind him, including Lei Shi, were so shocked that they became numb. This kid is so ruthless. Even a void pierce stage old monster wouldn't dare to do something like this. It would surely incur the wrath of the masses. Yet, he actually dared to do it. Judging from his stance, this young man not only wants to kill his way into the Zhong Mountain and eliminate Zhu Feng, but he also wants to kill his way into the 24th floor and eliminate King Yinglong. Mo Feiyun was greatly shocked. He had seen many heroes in his life. Among them, Lei Shi was the one he admired the most. However, the one he feared the most was none other than Ning Fan, who was standing in front of him. I'm ashamed. Previously, I looked down on this young man and mocked him. Now, it seems like killing me is as easy as flipping his palm given his strength. It's definitely not an exaggeration to say that he is a void pierce stage expert. A sword of broad cold and the sword threads kill the enemy. I'm afraid that his cultivation base in the Tao of Sword is also not weak. Chu Nanfeng said in a self-deprecating manner. Lei Shi's eyes were filled with astonishment again and again. He already knew that Ning Fan was strong. However, he could also tell that Ning Fan was not as strong as he was 3 days ago. In the past, Ning Fan gave Lei Shi a feeling of natural restraint. That restraint originated from the Tai Su lightning star. Today, however, Ning Fan had 2 completely different types of aura force on him. Each of them was enough to make Lei Shi's heart palpitate and tremble. That kind of aura force makes me suffocate. Even a void fragmentation realm old monster shouldn't have such aura force. What exactly happened to this young man in the past 3 days? Lei Shi pondered. Along the way, Ning Fan almost took care of all the killings. After witnessing the deaths of 3 void glimpse stage experts, no one doubted that Ning Fan had the strength to kill Zhu Feng and resist King Yinglong. The Zhong Mountain Thunder Palace was already a million miles away. Inside the Lightning Palace, the black-armored Lightning Lord, Zhu Feng, was sitting on his throne. His eyes were gloomy as he read the reports one after another. Outside of Mount Zhong, the experts of the 17 layers of defense, hundreds of thousands of people, were slaughtered in half a day. The identity of the newcomer had truly caught Zhu Feng by surprise. It was Ning Fan and the Myriad Treasure Pavilion. Humph. I didn't expect that Zhou Ming, who is being hunted by Lord King Yinglong, would still dare to come to my Lightning Palace and throw himself into the trap. How audacious of him. Could it be that he thinks that he can fight against a dignified void inquiry stage expert like me with his mere half-step void refinement realm cultivation base? Ridiculous. And that 10,000 treasure pavilion, how audacious. Lei Shi. This person lost to me 11 times. I originally thought that he would know the pros and cons and obediently hand over the Emperor Bone. I can't believe this bastard dares to provoke me again. If he dares to come to my Lightning Palace, I will certainly make him regret it. Zhu Feng's furious roar reverberated in the Lightning Palace for a long time. His void inquiry stage aura force was like a mountain or an ocean. It swept across the place, causing the air in the main hall to become unusually oppressive. Countless nascent soul realm and divine transformation realm experts fell to the ground as they could not withstand the pressure. Only the 9 void glimpse stage-old monsters who were resisting Zhu Feng's aura force could remain calm. Don't worry, Lightning Lord. There are 10 void refinement realm experts like us guarding the Lightning Palace. Even if Zhou Ming and the Myriad Treasure Pavilion have 3 heads and 6 arms, they will still be courting death if they dare to come here. An old man with a mouse-like beard, Ma Ren Wang, mocked with his bead-like eyes. His name was Ma Ren Wang. He did not put Ning Fan and the others in his eyes at all. The other 8 void glimpse stage experts also did not put Ning Fan in their eyes. Therefore, they strongly agreed with what the mouse-bearded old man said. That's right. Fellow Taoist Ma is right. If that Zhou Ming comes to the Lightning Palace, he will certainly die. Don't be fooled by the fact that he killed so many people along the way with great momentum. However, that was mostly because he relied on the Myriad Treasure Pavilion and the 3 void glimpse stage spiritual puppets. After all, he is just a half-step void refinement realm expert. There has never been a half-step void refinement realm expert who can kill a void glimpse stage expert who has a higher cultivation base than him. It's fine if this young man doesn't enter the Lightning Palace. If he does, I, Li Gui, will be the first one to kill him. Another tall and sturdy void glimpse stage expert echoed. For a moment, the main hall was filled with the laughter of refuting and ridiculing Ning Fan and the others. At this moment, a cold voice suddenly resounded in the entire Lightning Palace of the Zhong Mountain like 10,000 years of ice. It was as if 1,000 mountains were pressing down on them. It sounded like millions of thunderbolts exploding in the ears of the cultivators of the Lightning Palace. At the next moment, all the cultivators below the void refinement realm felt their eardrums bleeding and their sea of consciousness was in extreme pain. As for the void refinement realm old monsters including Zhu Feng, they felt their qi stagnating. They felt uncomfortable and their expressions changed. Who says that I, Zhou Ming, don't dare to come? The voice was filled with an earth-shattering might. Putting aside Ning Fan's cultivation base, just the might of this voice alone was enough to suppress ordinary divine transformation realm cultivators. All of a sudden, the entire Lightning Palace of the Zhong Mountain fell into chaos and chaos. At the next moment, the entire mountain range of the Zhong Mountain trembled under the night sky that was filled with lightning and rain. Countless undead spirits escaped from the Lightning Palace and looked into the distance. All of them sucked in a cold breath. There were only 200 cultivators standing at the foot of the Zhong Mountain. All of them were at the Divine Transformation Realm and above. In front of the Divine Transformation Realm cultivators, there were also 6 Void Refinement Realm experts including Lei Shi and 3 Void Glimpse Stage spiritual puppets. No one could stop them from killing them. However, the most frightening thing was definitely not these Void Refinement Realm experts but a white-robed young man. That young man walked forward with his hands clasped behind his back. Each of his steps seemed to be casual but the force he exerted was comparable to that of a gold body realm cultivator. A single step of his was enough to shake the great momentum of the mountains and rivers. The rumbling sound that shook the mountains and rivers was made by this person. That cold question that suppressed countless cultivators of the Lightning Palace was also made by this person. He was Ning Fan. Kill him. Tens of thousands of nascent soul realm undead spirits with low spiritual intelligence charged at Ning Fan from behind without any regard for their lives. At this moment, Ning Fan turned his head abruptly. His cold eyes pierced through the night sky like a bolt of cold lightning, falling into the eyes of countless undead spirits. Those nascent soul realm undead spirits with low spiritual intelligence felt their souls trembling. They could not help but feel fearful. What a ferocious gaze. He was a devil that had gone through a sea of blood. Even if they were undead creatures without any spiritual intelligence, they would still be afraid of his gaze, let alone their low spiritual intelligence. Get lost! Ning Fan shouted. Under the tremendous strength that was comparable to the gold body realm, the power of his cold voice was much more terrifying than any devil voice at the divine transformation realm. A black sound wave came out from Ning Fan's mouth. With a tremor, the physical bodies of tens of thousands of nascent soul realm undead spirits crumbled and they died miserably. Ning Fan could not resist a single gaze from Mo Luo. As for these nascent soul realm undead spirits, they also could not resist a single shout from Ning Fan. Ning Fan was far from being a strong cultivator, but these nascent soul realm undead spirits were even weaker. Who says that I, Zhou Ming, will definitely die once I enter the Lightning Palace? At this moment, Ning Fan's gaze swept across the Lightning Palace and he took a step forward. With a tremendous force, the vast sky collapsed. The Lightning Palace that stretched for 100 li crumbled into rubble. One after another, the Divine Transformation Realm and Void Refinement Realm experts appeared. However, among this group of experts, only Ma Renwang and Li Gui were being stared at by Ning Fan. Under Ning Fan's intense gaze, the two dignified Void Glimpse stage-old monsters felt a chill down their spines. They sensed an extremely dangerous omen. Without any time to think, Ning Fan put on the heaven-deceiving cloak and vanished without a trace. At the next moment, a strange figure appeared in front of the two of them without any warning. A cold sword light pierced through Ma Renwang's dantian. He threw a punch at Li Gui's chest. When the punch was thrown, Li Gui's chest armor was shattered. He was already severely injured. His eyes were filled with fear. He could not see how Ning Fan concealed himself and how he appeared in front of him. Moreover, he could not understand why the destructive power of Ning Fan's punch was stronger than his full-force attack. When Ma Renwang drew his sword, tens of thousands of sword threads intertwined with each other. Without giving Ma Renwang any chance to think, the billions of sword threads had already minced his primordial spirit to death. Ning Fan directly launched a sneak attack against two Void Glimpse stage experts. However, one of them was killed and the other was injured. Zhu Feng, fight me. Ning Fan took a step forward. Under the pressure of his aura force, countless enemy cultivators did not dare to resist him and retreated like a receding tide. Even Zhu Feng was intimidated by Ning Fan's aura force, which injured two of them in a row. He actually did not dare to resist Ning Fan's ferocious aura force and took half a step back. His expression changed greatly. The Ning Fan in the rumors definitely did not have the strength to kill and injure Void Glimpse stage-old monsters in an instant. This young man is different from the information we received. Why is he so strong? This is absolutely impossible. Zhu Feng's eyes were filled with astonishment. It was his first time feeling the threat of death from a half-step Void Refinement Realm cultivator. Chapter 426. 200 semi-god realm warriors fought their way into Mount Zhong, leaving a sea of blood along the way. This matter had already alarmed all the dead spirits on the 11th floor. Sword lights that transmitted sound were either sent to the upper realm or to the lower realm. The expressions of the 10 Void Refinement stage beings and 1,000 Deity Transformation stage beings who were waiting at the teleportation formations on the 9th and 10th levels changed drastically after receiving this information. They were tricked by Ning Fan. They were waiting for Ning Fan to walk into their trap at the teleportation formation. Even though Ning Fan had eliminated the two Void Glimpse stage experts of the Lightning Palace on the 10th floor, they never left the teleportation formation. It was because they felt that Ning Fan attacking the Lightning Palace on the 10th floor was certainly just a diversion. He wanted to lure them away from the teleportation formation so that he could escape to the 9th floor. However, they did not expect that Ning Fan would charge towards the higher floors instead. The most surprising thing was that Ning Fan even dared to openly challenge the Void Inquiry Stage Lightning Lord on the 11th floor. A Void Inquiry Stage old monster could defeat several Void Glimpse Stage experts and instantly kill countless half-step Void Refinement Realm experts. Ning Fan's cultivation base was only at the half-step Void Refinement Realm. His action of challenging Zhu Feng really made these old monsters feel that it was ridiculous. This kid is so arrogant. When I was not in the Lightning Palace on the 10th floor, he actually killed two of my Void Glimpse stage subordinates. I have yet to settle this score with him, but he actually sought his own death by attacking the Lightning Palace on the Zhong Mountain on the 11th floor. He is purely seeking death. The Lightning Lord of the 10th floor felt indignant. That day, he had led his army to chase after Ning Fan, but Ning Fan managed to escape with a strange concealing technique and even killed 2 of his Void Glimpse stage subordinates. This matter had always been a thorn in his heart. A half-step Void Refinement Realm expert challenging a Void Inquiry stage expert is no different from courting death. It's just that I don't understand why the Myriad Treasure Pavilion would attack Zhu Feng together with this brat. What kind of price did this brat pay to invite Lei Shi? A Void Glimpse stage old monster's eyes were filled with bewilderment. In his impression, Lei Shi was the strongest person on the 11th floor of the Lightning Tower other than the Lightning Lord, Zhu Feng. However, Lei Shi had a strange personality. He only cared about his own interests and rarely formed friendships with others. He would not risk his life for anyone. Why would someone like Lei Shi offend Zhu Feng for a half-step Void Refinement Realm Junior? Humph. This lad was too arrogant. This time, he was going to die in Mount Zhong. The wind and rain of Mount Zhong was a celestial phenomenon grand formation constructed by a void-pierced stage formation master tens of thousands of years ago. It's fine if we don't activate it, but once we do, no matter how powerful that Zhou Ming's invisibility art is, he will not be able to hide. Moreover, he might even be killed by the Great Formation. If he attacks Zhu Feng, he will definitely die at Zhong Mountain. There is no doubt about it. There is no longer any meaning in us staying here and waiting for him to walk right into our trap. Fellow Taoist Qin is right. We should hurry to the 11th level and head to the Lightning Palace of Mount Zhong as soon as possible. We'll kill this brat at Mount Zhong. This is a great merit that will definitely satisfy King Yinglong. This merit cannot be taken by Thunder Master Zhu Feng alone. After discussing for a while, the 10 Void Refinement Realm experts abandoned the defense of this place and led the Divine Transformation Realm army to the 11th floor. They thought that they could fight for merit, but they didn't know that their actions were just rushing to be reincarnated. On the 11th floor, other than the Zhong Mountain Thunder Palace and the 10,000 Treasure Pavilion, there were many other powerful forces. Even though there were no other Void Inquiry stage old monsters, there were still 5 to 6 Void Glimpse stage experts. These Void Glimpse stage experts did not belong to the 10,000 Treasure Pavilion or the Lightning Palace. They did not work for King Yinglong, but they did not have the intention to help the 10,000 Treasure Pavilion either. They were just watching the battle on Mount Zhong with cold eyes. No. To be more precise, they were not just watching the battle from the sidelines. They also had the intention to take advantage of the situation. The 5 old monsters stood at the foot of Mount Zhong from afar. They secretly released their spirit sense and observed the situation. On Lei Shi's side, there is 1 Void Inquiry stage expert and 8 Void Glimpse stage experts. As for Zhu Feng's side, there is 1 Void Inquiry stage expert and 9 Void Glimpse stage experts. In the past thousands of years, Lei Shi had lost to Zhu Feng 11 times. This time, I'm afraid he will still lose. Lei Shi has always been a shrewd businessman. I didn't expect that he would actually be bewitched by a Divine Transformation Realm Junior in the end and come to fight Zhu Feng to the death. This time, I'm afraid no one can mediate the enmity between him and Zhu Feng. The one who said this was a Void Glimpse stage expert who wanted to take advantage of the situation. When he said this, Ning Fan had yet to instantly kill or injure the 2 Void Glimpse stage experts. Fellow Taoist, he is right. Lei Shi will certainly lose this time. He might even die here. Putting aside the fact that Zhu Feng is far stronger than him, the Zhong Mountain has that immortal void grand formation. It's definitely not something that Lei Shi can resist. However, whether Lei Shi is defeated or dead, what does it have to do with us? The reason why we came here is just to steal something in passing. Fellow Taoist Wen's words are exactly what I want to hear. In such a large-scale battle between Void Refinement Realm experts, I'm afraid 1 or 2 Void Refinement Realm experts will die. Hee hee. Once a void refinement realm undead spirit dies, golden jades will definitely be produced. At that time, it will be up to our own capabilities to snatch the golden jades. The reason why these 5 void glimpse stage-old monsters came here to watch the battle was not with good intentions in the first place. They did not have the intention to intervene in the battle, and they also did not think that the 10,000 treasure pavilion would win. However, at the next moment, they were deeply shocked. Each of their eyes widened to the size of a camel's bell. The 5 void glimpse stage-old monsters cried out involuntarily. Impossible. It's absolutely impossible. The reason why they cried out was because Ning Fan and the other 200 experts who had just entered the Zhong Mountain had given them an unexpected shock. In just one encounter, Ning Fan turned invisible, moved stealthily and merged his fist and sword into one to launch a sneak attack on 2 void glimpse stage experts, directly killing one of them and injuring the other. Ma Renwang was dead. His movement technique could be said to be unparalleled on the 11th floor. However, he was actually killed by Ning Fan with a single sword strike. He did not even have the chance to escape. What kind of sword is that? It was so sharp and the sword light was so fast. The destructive power of a single sword strike could generate billions of sword threads which could kill a void glimpse stage expert. Unless they had set up a defense beforehand, none of the void glimpse stage experts who were ambushed would be able to survive. Li Gui was severely injured by a single punch. That old monster Li Gui was a genuine peak Jade Life Realm cultivator. His body technique had almost reached the bottleneck of the Golden Body Realm. However, he was sent flying away by Ning Fan's punch and was severely injured. No one expected that Ning Fan had already launched a domineering attack when the 10,000 treasure pavilion had just entered the Zhong Mountain, killing and injuring a void glimpse stage expert. On the side of the 10,000 treasure pavilion, there were 9 void refinement realm experts and a ferocious Ning Fan whose strength was above an ordinary void glimpse stage expert. As for the lightning palace of the Zhong Mountain, after one of the 2 void glimpse stage experts died and the other was injured, there were only 8 of them who remained unharmed. The scale of victory seemed to be tilting towards the 10,000 treasure pavilion. This young man is just a half-step void refinement realm cultivator. Why is he so strong? Moreover, he actually dared to challenge Zhu Feng. Doesn't he know that Zhu Feng is a dignified void inquiry stage old monster whose strength is completely different from a void glimpse stage expert? The 5 of them were shocked and doubtful, but none of them dared to laugh at Ning Fan's arrogance. It was because they saw with their own eyes that when Ning Fan challenged Zhu Feng actually took half a step back instinctively. A hint of fear actually grew in his heart. Ning Fan flicked his sleeve and devoured Ma Renwang's primordial lightning. Then, he kept the golden lightning jade that was formed after his death. He had long noticed that there were 5 void glimpse stage experts spying on him in the dark. Therefore, the reason why he attacked the 2 void glimpse stage experts forcefully was not just to weaken Zhu Feng's force but also to create a shocking effect so that the 5 of them would retreat in fear of disrupting the battle. With Ning Fan's current strength, it was far from enough to kill a void glimpse stage expert instantly. Ma Renwang's death was purely because of Ning Fan's sneak attack. The concealment effect of the heaven-deceiving cloak was astounding. The sharpness of the Separation Slayer sword was not something that Ma Renwang could withstand. Under the sneak attack, how could he not die? As for the punch that injured the malicious ghost, it was Ning Fan's true strength. Even if it was a sneak attack and a full-powered attack that was comparable to the strength of a golden body refining body, it would only severely injure the malicious ghost. However, who could say that it was not a kind of ability since he could successfully launch a sneak attack, conceal himself and kill someone? Zhu Feng, fight with me. Ning Fan's eyes indifferently swept across the 8 void refinement realm experts including Zhu Feng. The malicious ghost was severely injured and unconscious. Only the 8 of them could continue fighting. When Ning Fan's gaze swept past him, even Zhu Feng could not help but take half a step back despite being several tens of thousands of zhang away. He did not dare to resist Ning Fan's aura force as fear lingered in his heart. He actually could not see through the concealment effect of the heaven-deceiving cloak at all. This was just too unreasonable. If Ning Fan's sneak attack was not on Ma Renwang but on him, Zhu Feng, even if he did not die, he would be severely injured. This is profound divinity spiritual equipment. Impossible. Only void fragmentation realm old monsters can refine such a grade of spiritual equipment. How can this young man control such a supreme treasure? Zhu Feng's heart skipped a beat. He realized that he had underestimated Ning Fan from the very beginning. No, it should be said that even King Ying Long had underestimated Ning Fan. He was a monster who could refine profound divinity spiritual equipment with just his divine transformation realm cultivation base. With this spiritual equipment, he could launch a sneak attack or retreat 1,000 li away. Who would be able to find him and kill him? In that case, I must not give this young man another chance to conceal himself and launch a sneak attack. As long as I can break his concealment, no matter how heaven-defying his techniques are, how can he be my match? As for that Lei Shi, there's nothing to be afraid of. Humph. Activate the formation. Zhu Feng's mind raced. His eyes gradually calmed down. The trace of fear that he had towards Ning Fan in the beginning was also dispelled. He patted his storage pouch and took out a green formation plate. As soon as he activated the formation plate, the entire foothills of Zhong Mountain shook violently. A ray of formation light that was comparable to an immortal void realm suddenly flashed across the night sky like a startled swan. As the formation light covered the sky, a strange feeling emerged in Ning Fan's heart. Then, Ning Fan realized that the heaven-deceiving cloak could no longer be used in this immortal void realm formation light. Immortal void realm formation light. This formation is a little mysterious. It's not a life and death formation. Before I entered the valley, I vaguely sensed that this thunderstorm was a formation. However, it's just an auxiliary formation to break the concealment formation. Therefore, I didn't pay much attention to it. However, he did not expect the thunderstorm formation to be at the immortal void realm. With this immortal void formation, I won't be able to use the heaven-deceiving cloak at will. Can't you ambush people anymore? However, Ning Fan did not care whether he could launch a sneak attack or not. After all, sneak attacks were just small tricks. After he ambushed Ma Renwang once, all the Void Glimpse stage enemies had activated all of their defenses. Even without the grand formation, it would not be easy for Ning Fan to succeed in his sneak attack. Moreover, he didn't need a sneak attack. Step by step, he approached Zhu Feng who was 100,000 feet away from him. This scene had greatly exceeded Zhu Feng's expectations. Initially, Zhu Feng thought that the reason why Ning Fan dared to challenge him was because of his confidence in the heaven-deceiving cloak. As long as his concealment is broken, Ning Fan would have nothing to fear. However, after activating the formation light and getting rid of his concealment, Ning Fan did not seem to be bothered at all. Instead, he still had a confident look on his face. Where does this young man's confidence come from? Does he really think that a half-step void refinement realm cultivator can be so heaven-defying that he can kill a void inquiry stage expert? As the lightning lord of the 11th floor, Zhu Feng was also a person who had experienced life and death situations for a long time. Thus, he was quite proud of himself. He definitely did not believe that he would lose to a junior. Thus, he also took a step forward, intending to accept Ning Fan's challenge. Both of their auras soared. However, they were interrupted by a third aura force. Little friend Zhou, can you give Zhu Feng to me? I have an irreconcilable grudge with this person. Moreover, I've lost to him 11 times. I won't lose to him again in this 12th battle. The person who stopped them from fighting was actually Lei Shi. Ning Fan stared at Lei Shi deeply. With his keen observation, he could tell that the current Lei Shi was not any weaker than Zhu Feng. It seemed like there was a grudge between Lei Shi and Zhu Feng. As such, Ning Fan was willing to give Zhu Feng to Lei Shi and left, leaving Lei Shi alone to confront Zhu Feng. As Ning Fan left, Zhu Feng somehow felt relieved. It was as if he subconsciously felt that Ning Fan was more dangerous than Lei Shi. Lei Shi, you still dare to provoke me? Humph. Have you forgotten where your name, Lei Shi, came from? Ha! How could I forget? On the day when my wife was devoured by you, I tried to assassinate you 11 times. I failed 11 times and I almost lost my life 11 times. I gave up my name, Lei Tong. Every time I lost, I changed my name. Lei 1, Lei 2. Lei Shi. However, you don't have to worry. You won't have the chance to change my name to Lei Shi. Lei Shi's eyes became serious for the first time. His blood-red eyes were filled with monstrous hatred and anger. Yes. You won't have the chance to become Lei Shi because today, you must die. The one who will die is you. Lei Shi took a step forward and his fist collided with Zhu Feng's. As soon as they collided, the mountains and rivers cracked. Lightning and rain rolled across the heavens and violent winds howled furiously. Zhu Feng retreated 1,000 steps while Lei Shi retreated 900 steps. Judging from the distance he retreated, Lei Shi was actually stronger than Zhu Feng. Impossible. Zhu Feng could not believe that Lei Shi, who had been shrewd in business for 1,000 years, had actually cultivated to such an extent in secret. Hatred would always be the scariest motivation for people to grit their teeth and move forward. Zhu Feng had underestimated Lei Shi too much. Chu Nanfeng and the other 4 Void Glimpse stage experts plus the 3 spiritual puppets were already fighting against 7 Void Glimpse stage experts of the Lightning Palace. Li Gui had already been saved by an old monster. He managed to suppress his injuries and was fighting against one of the spiritual puppets to vent his anger. After all, the spiritual puppets were inanimate objects while Li Gui was really not weak. If Ning Fan did not sneak attack him, he would definitely not be seriously injured by Ning Fan's punch. Since Zhou Ming injured me, I will destroy his spiritual puppets. Oh. Do you feel proud of venting your anger on someone else's spiritual puppets? You, go over there. Ning Fan, who was dressed in white robes, was supposed to be at Zhu Feng's battlefield. Now, however, he suddenly appeared in front of Li Gui. After giving an order to the spiritual puppet, it immediately abandoned Li Gui and went to meet the other 2 spiritual puppets. The other 2 spiritual puppets were also being ravaged by the 2 Void Refinement Realm experts. However, with the addition of the 3rd spiritual puppet, the situation became even. Li Gui's eyes turned grim. He was just about to use his ultimate move to kill the spiritual puppets. However, at this moment, Ning Fan came to disturb him again. When he thought of how he was seriously injured by Ning Fan's punch just now, his eyes became even colder. Young man, your invisibility technique has already been broken by the Lightning Lord. You no longer have the possibility of sneaking an attack on me. Even though I am severely injured, I just happen to be proficient in a type of secret technique. The more injured I am, the more powerful it will be. It is called Nirvana technique. It evolved from the Nirvana Devil Veins and its power is extraordinary. In less than 10 breaths, I will certainly kill you. Li Gui spurted out several mouthfuls of blood essence. The injuries on his body became even more serious. His wounds festered faster and pus and blood oozed out from them. However, the aura force inside his body began to rise rapidly. It was obviously a secret technique that could increase his magic power by using his injuries. After his aura force increased, the severely injured Li Gui was at least 1 to 2 times stronger than when he was at his peak. Ning Fan's eyes flashed with contemplation. This Nirvana technique sounds a little familiar. Nirvana Devil Veins. Isn't that the Devil Veins of Moksha Sovereign? Using his injuries to exchange for a technique? What a disgusting secret technique. The Nirvana technique uses his injuries to exchange for a technique and sacrifices himself. It is the true understanding of the Buddhism sect. This secret technique evolved from the Nirvana Devil Veins. In other words, Moksha Sovereign also has the ability to exchange his injuries for a technique. The more injured he is, the stronger he will become. Perhaps the injuries that I used to ambush him in the past will only make him stronger. For nirvana, you gave up your obsession to achieve the supreme nirvana body. I, on the other hand, held on to my obsession and gave up my nirvana to achieve the 4 forms of me and cultivate the Tao of defying Buddha. The first form, the art of me. Ning Fan changed his hand's seal and golden light shone brightly around his body. A figure suddenly split into 2 within the golden light. One was his true shadow while the other was a golden shadow. The true shadow was Ning Fan himself. The golden shadow's appearance was exactly the same as his, but it was dressed like an arhat. Moreover, the strength of the physical body of that golden shadow was actually at the first level of the golden body refining realm. The art of me is to use a supreme spirit sense to create countless true selves. With my current cultivation of this technique, it's only enough for me to split into 2 golden silhouettes during a battle. These golden shadows can be used and condensed immediately. After the technique is completed, the golden shadow will only last for the time it takes for an incense stick to burn before it dissipates. However, within this incense stick's time, unless the golden shadow receives a fatal attack, it will not suffer any injuries. Second shadow, appear. Ning Fan formed another hand seal and another golden shadow separated from his body. 1 man and 2 shadows surrounded Li Gui. All of a sudden, the sneer on Li Gui's face froze and his expression changed drastically. Impossible. What technique is this? Why is it so heaven-defying that it can actually create shadows of the golden body refining realm? This young man has obviously not mastered this technique yet. If he succeeds in cultivating this technique and can create hundreds or thousands of golden shadows, even void fragmentation realm old monsters will have to avoid him. Boom boom boom. Without giving Li Gui any time to think, 1 man and 2 shadows sent out 3 rays of fist light. All of them were at the first level of the golden body refining realm. The aftershock of the fist force shattered layers of the hollow space. Like a pile of mud, Li Gui was sent flying 10,000 li away. His injuries were already extremely severe. He wanted to escape. He was afraid. Even if he had the nirvana technique that could exchange injuries for techniques, it still depended on what kind of injuries he suffered. Being hit by such a powerful fist radiance, the injuries caused were almost fatal. Under such circumstances, how would Li Gui dare to aggravate his injuries? The so-called secret technique would be destroyed on its own. Trying to escape. 3 figures appeared beside Li Gui like ghosts and surrounded him. Another 3 attacks that were comparable to the golden body refining realm landed on Li Gui's body. Ah! A miserable shriek came from Li Gui's mouth, shocking the entire battlefield. Countless old monsters turned their heads to look and all of them were shocked. After Li Gui threatened Ning Fan to kill him within 10 breaths, he died in Ning Fan's hands in just 2 breaths' time. There was still a long time before the time it takes for an incense stick to burn. As long as Ning Fan's golden shadow did not disperse, he alone could fight against 3 void glimpse stage experts. Other than Zhu Feng, who else could stop him? This was Ning Fan's first time using the self-manifestation technique. He was extremely satisfied with it. If he can cultivate this technique to the point where he could create 1,000 or even 10,000 shadows in the future, his combat power alone would be comparable to 10,000 void refinement realm experts. He would definitely be able to fight against a void fragmentation realm expert. Chapter 427. The condensed golden shadows could last for the time it takes for an incense stick to burn. To Ning Fan, there were too many things he could do in that time. With a flash of traveling light, he went straight towards the other 2 void glimpse stage experts of the Lightning Palace who were fighting against the spiritual puppets like lightning. The fact that Ning Fan could split out 2 golden shadows and kill the malicious ghost within 2 breaths had already shocked all the undead spirits. Even Zhu Feng, who was having a hard time fighting against Lei Shi, could not help but feel fearful. What kind of magic technique is that? It can actually create golden shadows. This technique is so heaven-defying. It's impossible for it to be unknown. Why have I never heard of it before? The same thought also appeared in Lei Shi's mind. However, he already knew that Ning Fan was a living being. Thus, he was not as shocked as Zhu Feng. Judging from Ning Fan's lack of proficiency in this magic technique, he must have just mastered it not long ago. Judging from the fluctuation of the technique, Lei Shi vaguely felt that it was familiar. He already had a conclusion in his mind and said with a bitter smile, "I can't be wrong. This technique is recorded in the inheritance crystal. Even though I can't open the crystal with my undead spirit body, I can still sense its contents. Even if I can't see through it, I can still remember a trace of magic power fluctuation within it. This technique is so heaven-defying. It seems like I've been taken advantage of again. However, there's nothing I can do about it. I can't activate this technique for thousands of years in my hands. However, it can be used in his hands. This is also the result of luck. My luck is far less than this young man's." Even the two Void Inquiry stage experts were stunned by this technique. How could the other Void Glimpse stage experts not know how powerful it was? A single golden body was already comparable to a Void Glimpse stage expert. With two illusory golden bodies and Ning Fan who already possessed heaven-defying strength, who could stop him in this lightning palace of the Zhong Mountain? Yan Daozi and Gu Feng were attacking the three spiritual puppets together. Both of them were relatively weak among the Void Refinement Realm experts of the Lightning Palace. They only dared to bully the spiritual puppets. Both of them were proficient in joint attacks. Even though they were 2 against 3, they gradually gained the upper hand. However, before the two of them could feel proud of themselves, they were shocked to find that the malicious ghost had fallen. Then, they realized that Ning Fan, who had just killed the malicious ghost, was rushing towards them at lightning speed with intense baleful chi. Not good. Both of their hearts shuddered. Each of them summoned their strongest magic treasures and attacked Ning Fan's head. At the same time, they left the 3 puppets behind and fled without even turning their heads back. The 2 Void Glimpse stage experts actually did not have the courage to resist him. In the state of 1 man and 2 shadows, Ning Fan's combat power was equivalent to that of 3 Void Glimpse stage experts. He could kill a Void Glimpse stage expert instantly. Who would dare to fight against him? One of the magic treasures that the 2 of them took out was a flying lightning sword. It was a low-grade mortal void magic treasure. When it was flying, only lightning could be seen, but not the shadow of the sword could be seen. It was enough to show how fast this sword was. The other treasure was a 5 light stone. It was also a low-grade mortal void realm treasure. As soon as he activated it, it immediately turned into millions of 5-colored mountains that fell on Ning Fan's head. The magic treasure is not bad. Unfortunately, all of you can't leave. Boom. Boom. As soon as Ning Fan's words fell, the 2 golden Arhat shadows took a step forward and threw a golden fist light at the 2 treasures in the sky. The strength of their fists was enough to shatter the heavens and crack the earth. The hollow space collapsed and mountains and rivers collapsed. The flying lightning sword was sent flying by the punch, and the 5 light stone was sent flying by the punch. The 2 golden shadows also suffered some injuries after getting their magic treasures blown away. However, these injuries were not fatal. At the next moment, the 2 golden shadows shone with golden light and their injuries were healed. After their injuries were healed, the 2 golden shadows waved their hands at the same time and grabbed the flying lightning sword and the 5 light stone respectively. With a flash of golden light, they erased the marks of the magic treasures and forcefully devoured them for their own use. What? Before the 2 of them could escape far away, they sensed that the attacks of their magic treasures were broken. When they saw the scene of the golden shadows healing themselves, their faces turned pale with fright. The injuries of the golden shadows healed themselves. Unless they deliver a fatal blow, no one could kill them. These golden shadows were too strange. They could actually erase the marks of their magic treasures and snatch their magic treasures for their own use. Trying to escape. Ning Fan summoned his Fuli wings. In a flash, he was slightly faster than the two of them and blocked their path of retreat. Both of his fists carried a force that could shake mountains and rivers. They landed on the chests of the two golden shadows, producing a series of loud cracking sounds. Puff, the two of them spurted out blood at the same time. After receiving the tremendous force of Ning Fan's punch, their injuries were not light. Even though they were not instantly killed by Ning Fan, the three spiritual puppets and the two golden shadows took the opportunity to attack them from all directions. In an instant, Yan Daozi and Gu Feng were already surrounded by the six of them. One human, two shadows and three spiritual puppets all threw out punches. 6 void glimpse stage attacks were enough to flatten the Zhong mountain. When the attacks landed in front of Yan Daozi and Gu Feng, they could not defend themselves at all. Boom boom boom, their punches landed on the protective treasure light. The two of them could only endure it with all their might. How could they have the strength to fight back? As time passed, the two of them gradually could not hold on any longer. 10 punches. Their armor was shattered. 100 punches. Their physical bodies were riddled with thousands of holes. Their muscles and bones were all broken and their blood flowed like a river. 1,000 punches. Their primordial spirits were destroyed by the rays of fist light. After 2 miserable shrieks, the two of them finally died after holding on for the time it takes for an incense stick to burn. Relying on the 2 shadows and 3 spiritual puppets, Ning Fan killed 2 more of them. 2 traces of primordial lightning and 2 pieces of golden jade were kept in his pouch. All the undead spirits at the scene were extremely shocked by Ning Fan's ferocious might. The 5 void glimpse stage experts who were watching from afar all felt an irresistible aura force coming from Ning Fan's body. The spiritual puppets belong to this young man. The golden shadows are transformed from this young man. This means that his combat power alone is comparable to 6 void glimpse stage experts. Ma Ren Wang, Li Gui, Yan Daozi, and Gu Feng. In just a short period of time, this young man has already killed 4 void glimpse stage experts in a row. His means are shocking. No one can stop him. Retreat quickly. This place is definitely not a place to stay for long. The 5 of them exchanged glances with each other. None of them had the intention to take advantage of Ning Fan anymore. All of them turned into wisps of smoke and fled for their lives. They no longer cared about the outcome of the battle on the Zhong mountain. Their fear of Ning Fan had already reached an extreme level. When the time it takes for an incense stick to burn was up, the golden shadows dissipated. After losing the 2 golden shadows, Ning Fan would not be able to use the aspect of self technique again within a short period of time. However, Ning Fan currently had 1 human and 3 spiritual puppets with him. Thus, he was still unrivaled among void glimpse stage experts. There were still 5 void glimpse stage experts left in the lightning palace of the Zhong mountain. They were fighting against Chu Nanfeng and the other void glimpse stage experts of the Myriad Treasure Pavilion. In the beginning, they were still able to fight evenly with Chu Nanfeng and the others. However, as Ning Fan killed a few of them in a row, fear grew in their hearts and they lost their sense of propriety. Gradually, they began to show signs of losing the upper hand. This young man is only at the half-step void refinement realm, but he is already so powerful. If he advances to the void refinement realm, even if he is just a void glimpse stage expert, he will certainly be unrivaled among void glimpse stage experts. No. If he attains the void glimpse stage, I'm afraid he will even dare to fight against a void inquiry stage expert. While the 5 of them were deep in thought, they were suddenly startled. They sensed 4 whistling rays of formation light approaching them from afar like Yama kings. It was none other than Ning Fan and his 3 spiritual puppets. Not good. The void glimpse stage expert of the Lightning Palace who was fighting against Mo Feiyun could not react in time and was already attacked by Ning Fan. The 3 spiritual puppets threw out punches at him at the same time, breaking all of his defenses. Ning Fan then raised his hand and swung his sword, using the Separation Slayer sword to take his life, piercing into his dantian. At the next moment, billions of sword threads were drawn out and destroyed his primordial spirit. He devoured the primordial lightning and absorbed the golden jade. Fellow Taoist Zhou, thank you for your help. Mo Feiyun's eyes were filled with complicated emotions. The opponent whom he needed to fight with his full strength was instantly killed by Ning Fan. This huge difference in strength made him realize how strong Ning Fan was. Ning Fan nodded his head. In a flash, he flew towards Chu Nanfeng's battlefield. Chu Nanfeng's opponent was an undead spirit who possessed demon blood. He was currently transforming into the demon form of a black dragon and showing off his strength. This person's demon blood was impure. The demon form that he transformed into was also extremely clumsy. Even so, the strength of the black dragon's demon form made Chu Nanfeng unable to defeat him. While they were engaged in a bitter battle, they suddenly saw 4 rays of light approaching them from afar. That black dragon was quite proud of himself for suppressing Chu Nanfeng. When he saw Ning Fan and the others approaching him, even though he was filled with fear, his mouth was still filled with disdain. Arrogant brat! Do you really think that you are comparable to a Void Refinement Realm expert just by relying on the power of your spiritual puppets and illusions? How ridiculous! Black Dragon Heaven Devouring Technique. The black dragon opened his gigantic mouth. The power of the void was generated in his mouth. It was like a chaotic black hole, trying to devour Ning Fan in a single gulp. This technique was most likely another secret technique of the Black Dragon clan. However, the black dragon in front of him was probably the clumsiest user of this technique in the history of the Black Dragon clan. Collapse. Ning Fan only uttered a single word and clawed with his 5 fingers. However, it was as if it was enough to tear heaven and earth apart. The void within the black dragon's mouth was torn into pieces by Ning Fan just like that, breaking the technique head-on. How could the black dragon feel good after his magic technique was forcefully broken? He kept coughing out blood. He looked at Ning Fan and actually felt a chill that originated from his bloodline. At this moment, his mind was calm. Only then did he gradually sense a suffocating aura force of demon blood from Ning Fan's body. He did not know where he got his black dragon blood from. After refining it a little, it turned out to be extremely clumsy. However, the demon blood in Ning Fan's body was pure and supreme. The black dragon had never seen such a strong bloodline in his life. Even King Yinglong, who was rumored to possess the true bloodline of the yellow dragon, definitely did not have the aura force of Ning Fan's bloodline. Without giving the black dragon too much time to think, Ning Fan directly rose into the air. In a flash of light, he stood on top of the black dragon's head. At such a close distance, Ning Fan fully released the aura force of his ancestral blood. The black dragon actually could not resist it at all. It was as if it was directly immobilized and fell into a daze. The black dragon's bloodline was incomplete while Ning Fan's bloodline was ancestral. The difference between their bloodlines was just too huge. With just his bloodline, Ning Fan could suppress the black dragon. If he did not have such deterrence force, how could he match his identity as the old ancestor of the Fu Li clan? Ning Fan's eyes flashed with a hint of joy that was hard to notice. Black Dragon Heaven Devouring Technique, huh? This technique is not bad. It seems to be a secret technique of the Black Dragon clan that allows high-grade bloodlines to devour low-grade bloodlines. This technique is not difficult to master. However, only the bloodline of the Black Dragon with royal bloodline or above can unleash its true power. This technique could not only devour black dragons but also all the dragons in the world. In ancient times, the reason why the black dragons were so domineering was because they could forcefully devour the corpses of other dragons to strengthen themselves. This was the meaning of the saying, when the 5 dragons die, the black dragon will live. What do I have to do for you to let me go? As long as you let me go, I am willing to switch sides and help you kill Zhu Feng. The black dragon begged. Let you go? Ridiculous. Even though your bloodline is inferior, your cultivation base is at the void glimpse stage. Since that's the case, I shouldn't waste it. Ning Fan patted his storage pouch and took out the black dragon refined corpse that he had not used for a long time. He made a hand seal and controlled the dragon corpse to enlarge its body. Then, it opened its mouth to form the void space and swallowed the black dragon with the incomplete bloodline. And no. The black dragon with the incomplete bloodline was frightened. He could naturally see that Ning Fan had a black dragon refined corpse. Moreover, Ning Fan wanted to use that corpse to imitate the black dragon heaven-devouring technique to devour him. Terrifying. Terrifying. If he was not mistaken, that black dragon refined corpse was actually a black dragon with royal bloodline that had been extinct for a long time. There was actually someone in this world who dared to use a black dragon with royal bloodline to refine a corpse. Moreover, this person was even more audacious and wanted to devour him. He would certainly die. Let me go. Ah! He let out a blood-curdling scream and died. Every trace of his blood essence, flesh and blood was devoured by the black dragon refined corpse. Ning Fan had secretly learned the black dragon heaven-devouring technique and used the black dragon refined corpse to devour his opponent's black dragon. After devouring the Void Glimpse stage black dragon, the grade of the half-step Void Refinement Realm dragon corpse suddenly skyrocketed. Almost in an instant, it broke through to the Void Glimpse stage. Ning Fan now had another Void Glimpse stage helper. Chu Nanfeng was extremely shocked. That black dragon that had given him so much trouble was actually subdued by Ning Fan's strange great ability and was easily killed. Void Pierce stage. He must be a Void Pierce stage expert. Even a Void Inquiry stage expert would not be able to kill this black dragon instantly. He was even more convinced that Ning Fan was a Void Pierce stage old monster. After devouring the primordial lightning and keeping the golden jade, Ning Fan gave Chu Nanfeng a deep look and turned around to head to the other battlefields. Every time he went to a battlefield, there would be a Void Glimpse stage expert of the Lightning Palace facing a calamity. At this moment, Ning Fan alone had combat power equivalent to 5 Void Glimpse stage experts. In addition to the 5 experts of the Myriad Treasure Pavilion, he was besieging the remaining 3 Void Glimpse stage experts of the Lightning Palace. In just the time it takes for an incense stick to burn, the 3 of them had fallen one after another. This also indicated that from this moment on, Zhu Feng was the only one left in the Lightning Palace of the Zhong Mountain. Moreover, his combat power was still being suppressed by Lei Shi. Impossible. This is absolutely impossible. How could a mere half-step Void Refinement Realm expert be able to change the situation of the battle? This isn't real. I don't believe it. Zhu Feng's 9 Void Glimpse stage subordinates had died on the Zhong Mountain. 3 of his Void Glimpse stage subordinates had died on the outskirts of the Zhong Mountain. The foundation that he had built up throughout his life was nearly destroyed by Ning Fan alone. Even if he displayed a heaven-defying technique today and slaughtered all his enemies on the Zhong Mountain, he would not be able to maintain his position as the Lightning Lord anymore. Zhu Feng, you have underestimated Zhou Ming too much. This young man's strength is far beyond your imagination. If I'm not mistaken, he has yet to use his true trump card in this battle. Most likely, he is saving his trump card to deal with Ing Longzi. Lei Shi no longer addressed Ing Longzi as king. His confidence in Ning Fan suddenly rose in his heart. He firmly believed that Ning Fan would kill all the way to the 24th floor and kill Ing Longzi in no time. Zhu Feng, in the past, you devoured my wife. Have you ever thought that this day would come? Even if you have 3 heads and 6 arms, I will still make you die on the Zhong Mountain today. Void Technique, Void Lightning Abacus. Lei Shi pointed a finger at the sky. The void power in the sky gathered and formed the shape of black lightning, turning into a black lightning abacus that was as large as a mountain. The abacus suddenly collapsed. The 50 black lightning abacus were like balls of black lightning fireballs. Each of them was 10,000 zhang in size. They fell from the sky like 50 black meteors. Each of their attacks was powerful enough to hurt a Void Glimpse stage cultivator. Even a Void Inquiry stage expert would be injured by the 50 combined attacks. Such a terrifying technique greatly exceeded Zhu Feng's expectation. He hurriedly formed a series of hand seals and formed layers of golden lightning light barriers in an attempt to block this technique. However, the layers of golden lightning light barriers were all destroyed by Lei Shi in an instant. All 50 black meteors landed on Zhu Feng's chest without exception. Rumble. Rumble. Rumble, rays of black lightning fire that could destroy heaven and earth flattened the ground. The mountains and rivers within 100,000 li were all decayed. The lightning fire burned the ground. On the vast land, Zhu Feng half knelt on the ground. His qi was already weak. He stared at Lei Shi with resentment. He was defeated by Lei Shi in the end. The current Zhu Feng did not have the strength to fight anymore. However, he also knew that he could not escape. I'm going to die. I, a dignified expert of the 11th level of the lightning technique, am also going to die. No. He wanted to drag Lei Shi and Ning Fan down to hell with him. The storm of the Zhong Mountain is an immortal void realm technique. Other than breaking my invisibility, there is also the life and death second tribulation formation hidden within it. Once the life and death second tribulation is activated, I will need to sacrifice my life. However, I will certainly be able to kill all of you. Lei Shi, you forced me to do this. Let us die together. Zhu Feng revealed a maniacal smile. He crushed the formation disc and ignited his primordial spirit at this moment. At the moment he ignited his primordial spirit, the raindrops in the Zhong Mountain were suddenly surrounded by traces of lightning. Countless lightning rays turned into 10 lightning dragons. 5 of them were azure dragons and the other 5 were yellow dragons. All of the 10 lightning dragons were at the void inquiry stage. The first tribulation, the death tribulation formation. The wind and rain of Zhong Mountain, rise from the azure and yellow. As soon as the technique was completed, the expressions of the cultivators of the Myriad Treasure Pavilion changed drastically. No one expected that the grand formation of the Zhong Mountain would actually contain such a death tribulation that could transform into 10 void inquiry stage lightning dragons. Even Lei Shi's expression changed greatly. Each of the lightning dragons in this place was not weaker than him. He could not withstand 10 lightning dragons at the same time. So what if they are lightning dragons? When the crowd of cultivators was filled with fear, Ning Fan raised his head and looked at the sky. His black hair danced wildly in the wind. His eyes were bright like the sun and moon, making him look like the god of lightning that had descended to the world. Beneath his feet, a massive blood-red lightning diagram unfolded. The lightning diagram was expanded to 100,000 li. Within that area, the attacks of the 10 void inquiry stage lightning dragons could not break the lightning diagram at all. At the moment when the lightning diagram was fully expanded, all the lightning element undead spirits felt a shiver run down their spines. Even the 10 void inquiry stage lightning dragons began to panic. Just a mere void inquiry stage lightning dragon dares to disobey me? You are courting death. Ning Fan's tone was imitating Tai Su's. Stepping on the lightning diagram, he looked down on the lightning dragons as if he was looking down on ants. It would be fine if these lightning dragons had void pierce stage cultivation base. However, they were just at the void inquiry stage. In that case, Ning Fan would devour all of them. Devour. As Ning Fan uttered the word, the lightning diagram suddenly released an unimaginable tearing force, sucking the 10 lightning dragons into it one after another. Then, 10 miserable shrieks resounded in the air. All 10 dragons were devoured by the lightning diagram. The massive primordial lightning power was refined into the lightning armor, causing it to advance to the 3rd level of the golden armor realm. The entire Zhong Mountain fell into dead silence. Zhu Feng's eyes widened. His cold smile was still frozen on his face. He could not believe that the 10 void inquiry stage black dragons that he summoned at the cost of burning his primordial spirit were so vulnerable. All of the 10 lightning dragons were at the void inquiry stage. All of them were existences that could command the wind and clouds. However, They were killed by Ning Fan just as they showed their faces. How was this possible? Since when did the lightning dragons become so weak? No. It's not that the lightning dragons were weak. It's that lightning diagram technique that is too powerful. What kind of lightning diagram is that? What kind of technique is that exactly? Could it be one of the strongest abilities of Lightning Emperor Tai Su, the Tai Su lightning diagram? No. This is absolutely impossible. Lightning Emperor Tai Su commands all lightning and no one dares to disobey him. Only the Lightning Emperor is qualified to devour lightning dragons like it's child's play. This technique has long been lost since the time of the Lightning Emperor. Even true immortals could not learn it. It's impossible for a mere half-step Void Refinement Realm Junior to learn this technique. I don't believe it. I don't believe it. Zhu Feng roared again and again. He seemed to be laughing and crying at the same time. He had truly gone mad. Lei Shi could not help but let out a sigh. He had been opposing Zhu Feng his entire life. Now that he had finally won, he saw Zhu Feng end up in such a deranged state. He could not help but feel a little empty and hollow. Be careful. That Zhu Feng said that this Zhong Mountain's wind and rain formation has a total of 2 calamity formations of life and death. The lightning dragon just now was a killing calamity formation. I'm afraid that there is also a life calamity formation hidden in this place. Do not give Zhu Feng another chance to activate the formation light. Lei Shi sent a voice transmission to remind Zhu Feng. In a flash, he flew towards Zhu Feng without the slightest bit of mercy. Ning Fan nodded his head. Stepping on the lightning diagram, he dashed towards Zhu Feng. The other Void Refinement Realm cultivators of the Myriad Treasure Pavilion also became excited and launched their final attacks at Zhu Feng. Once Zhu Feng was killed, the Myriad Treasure Pavilion would become the master of the 11th floor from today onwards, and Lei Shi would be the new lightning master. As Lei Shi's trusted subordinates, they were naturally willing to see this happen. You want to kill me? Trying to stop the opening of the Tribulations Array? Ha, you're wrong, wrong. The Life Tribulations formation had already been activated, but none of you knew. It's too late now. All of you will die together with me in the end. Zhu Feng laughed like a mad devil. He allowed the attacks to land on his body, but he did not dodge them at all. Each of the magic techniques was enough to kill Zhu Feng, who was in a critical condition. However, the strange thing was that Zhu Feng was only injured after being hit by these magic techniques. He did not die. After a while, his injuries healed at a strange speed. As for the experts of the Myriad Treasure Pavilion and the Lightning Palace, including Ning Fan, their hair began to turn pale. Everyone's lifespan had been strangely snatched away to heal Zhu Feng's injuries. The second tribulation, the Life Tribulation formation. If heaven has feelings, heaven will also age. As soon as Zhu Feng's words fell, everyone's lifespan flowed away at a rapid speed. Ning Fan's eyes turned cold. The profoundness of this immortal Void Realm Grand Formation was completely beyond his expectations. Besides, if he was not mistaken, the reason why this immortal Void Realm Grand Formation could take away one's lifespan was because a trace of the power of time had been integrated into the formation light. Within his body, there was a trace of the blood of time that was eager to give it a try. He was also not afraid of the power of time. You're tuning into the Blissful Bookshelf YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.